everybody. How you doing? I hope you are all happy and healthy, doing the things you love, the people that you love doing them with. I am Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone is downstairs. She's not part of the live streams yet. Maybe she'll get an introduction at some point. Maybe I'll get a little camera for her. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. It is Sunday night. Usually around this time, I'd be on the Sava Talk Spurs or the Football Heritage with him and the guys, but he's away, so I thought I'd step in and do something. I hope you don't mind. We got so much to talk about tonight. We got Conor Gallagher links. We got Alex Scott links. We got David Raya almost done. We got James Ward-Prowse to talk about. We got Decky valuation. Well done, Daniel Levy. Is it okay to say well done, Daniel Levy, on that one? We got links with Pedro Porro away from the club. We got links with Harry Kane to Chelsea. We got links that we might be gazumping Chelsea for Nico Jackson from Villarreal. And of course, we've also got links with Pepe from Porto. We're going to be talking about all of that over the next, well, I always say 90 minutes, but it's usually longer. Guys, lock yourself in, strap in, chat, smash the like button as we get going on Sunday night Spurs Talk Show that starts right now. Harry Kane, Lucas Moura, can you do something, please? Last chance, McDoherty! Oh, you shite! And there could be from the dead to the don't fuck it up now, Go and win it! Let's go for chance! Stephen Bergwijn! Stephen Bergwijn's through! Win it, Stephen! Come on! Yes! He's won it! He has won it! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh! We did it! Check this out. You know what? I'm already furious. There's a problem with YouTube live streams and monetization. Like whenever I do the streams, I'm like, no one swore tonight. And yet I go to look at the settings afterwards and it says limited. You can't get any money. Like, well, they're not going to send any ads out there because it's inappropriate or whatever. And I'm like, well, why? Like no one swore. What's going on? And on this one, the second that the stream went live, before I even said welcome, YouTube is saying, no, limited. I don't know what's going on with it. It's driving me up the wall. Anyway, that's none of your problems. How are you, everybody? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. As you know, I am Sean Butler. I hope everyone is in a good mood. I hope you're not as hot and kind of stingy as I am. I might actually have to take these ridiculous things off. I've been in hospital this morning having a gastroscopy, the second one in a week. This one was far less unpleasant than the first one. So that's out the way. No more tests. We're going to figure out what's going on with me now. I'm waiting for the results. We're going to talk Tottenham. We've got so much to get through tonight. Let me bring in the first guest of the evening and let's see how he is. Please welcome to the show, guys. How you doing, Soren?
Brilliant. Can we have that intro again? It's just...
That is genuinely one of the last times I remember Tottenham like having like a moment where we were like so pumped up and excited to be a Tottenham fan, you know?
Yeah, it's the best intro out there. You've nailed it, that one.
Thanks, mate. How's things? You good?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Sean. Yourself?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I'm all right. Like I say, I've been on the tail end now of 8 weeks of different tests and things, and now I'm just waiting for some clarity so we can move on with our lives. Right, before we get into the random, all of the like 10 different topics tonight, I don't know how long we're gonna go for. It might end up going for a long time, but we will see. Let me know in the chat as well, guys, if there's any problems with my internet and things. I'm gonna do my best to make it plausible and audible for everybody. Let me say hello to a few people. Paul is in the house saying, Sean, there's a report tonight that we are interested in Pepe. He's a Porto winger. A bit of a background on him would be great on the show tonight. Yeah, we'll come. He's on the list of things to talk about. I have already said, though, this guy does have glue on his boots. He is one of the most, I don't know what to describe him as, technical footballers. Like the way he can just drag balls from one side of his body to the other. Press resistant isn't even the word. And I'm not sure there's a category for him. He's absolutely phenomenal at getting out of a sticky situation and bringing around players. I don't think he'll come to Tottenham. I think he'll go to a bigger club, as cringy as that sounds. But we will talk about him nonetheless. Let's see who else is in the house. We got Derek Smith in the house. What's happening, Derek? I've read a report that some team or another are interested in buying Pedro Porro. Yeah, that team is Barcelona. I missed Sakil. How you doing, Sakil? Good to see you, mate. I hope you're okay. Well done for coming on early. Trevor Angel's in the house as well. Raya and Ward-Prowse, no chance unless Levy has an almighty change of heart on transfers. But would love it, but you can't see it. Good to see you, Trevor. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for always your really supportive comments in the in the videos I do. Lynchy's in the house. Hi, Sean. I hope you're well. I like the idea of bringing in Maddison and possibly an understudy to back him up like Alex Scott. We're going to talk about Alex Scott in a moment. I don't know what your name is, my man. I don't speak. I'm guessing that's an Eastern European language, maybe Russian language. But welcome to the show. And you're right, mate. Road to 9K subs is on. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, guys, please do. Always helps out. We're not far away from 9K, and then we're on to the big 10. Welcome to the show. Stephen Thomas is here as well. Yes to all three, but need centre backs urgently. Let me press pause on welcoming people in to welcome in another guest for this evening. At the moment, how you doing, Mia? Good to see you. You're on mute. Unprofessional.
Terrible. No, I should know better. I've been doing this for long enough. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Not too bad. How are you guys?
Hot.
Yeah, it's really muggy. It's raining, but it's that really horrible muggy weather. I just opened the front door and the back door to get some fresh air in here.
Yeah. I should do both actually. Get a bit of a channel. A draft coming through. Right, I'm not going to read out every comment. I'm just going to bang through some of these to say hello to people that are coming in because I always want to say hello. Hod God's in the house. What's happening, Paul? What's happening? Brad Gibbs, good to see you. Bump of K saying, I'm 1 minute late to build suspense. What a showman. Honestly, I was just trying to fix my audio settings and the internet so it doesn't cut out all the time. Tony's here. Good to see you. So is Rooty Toot. Good to see you, mate. Astra727. Tot Spurs, one of the newest members of the team. Welcome, Tot. Benny Boy Kaufman's in the house. What's happening, Ben? Good to see you, mate. Why aren't you a moderator anymore? What's happened there? I don't know what's happened there. I should make you a moderator again. Bear with me. I'll do that after I've gone through everything. Oliver 243's in the house. Have we heard that Chelsea are targeting? Make Chelsea target everyone that every other club targets. I got a feeling that they're probably going to settle for Andre Onana. Personally, I think the Raya's done. I really do. Although we are going to talk a little bit about his comments because it didn't really sync up with why he wants to come to Tottenham when he said he wants to go and win titles and things. Does he know what sort of club Tottenham are? He's been around.
You reckon Levy hypnotised him and said, we are going to win trophies. And then he's like, okay, we're going to win trophies.
Yeah, okay. I'll do that. Yeah, I'll say. Very strange. Who else we got? Ben Elliott's in the house. Mr. G's here as well. Brian Maguire, sorry. Phil's in the house. Dextra's in the house. What's happening? So is Nige, member of the channel. Drewzilla is in the house. Finn, Rickwood, Mark Sheehan. Guys, I don't want to be spending an hour going through everyone. I'm just going to box through. Welcome to everybody. Let me just make sure I've said hello to the members especially because I've got to call them out. But welcome, everybody. Make yourself at home. Okay, we're going to get into it now. Smash the like button for me on the channel. Smash the subscribe. And I will be dropping in the links for Mia's channel and anybody else who has a channel that comes on this evening. Make sure you get over there. Right, guys, let's start with... Where should we start? Let's start with Decky, shall we? The deal was finally done. 30 million euros, spread over 6 years, a 5-year contract. 25 million quid, give or take. When you add in I think it was a £3 million loan fee that we paid them initially. I think I could be wrong on that number. for a player of Decky's quality, I know that a lot of people are like I put a tweet out where I responded to someone else's tweet saying, had it been a new signing, I'd be like, amazing, like looking forward to seeing this guy because I know how good he is, whatever. But because we've already had him on loan, like making permanent a deal that's already on loan, that's been on loan, it's not as exciting. It's a little bit kind of, it's almost like opening your Christmas presents on Christmas Eve and then you wake up and there's nothing to open on Christmas Day. Like, are you, first and foremost, are you happy that we've got him in? Soren, I'll start with you. Secondly, what do you think about Daniel Levy on this one? Like, he gets a hell of a lot of criticism, but for me, the value for a player that of his quality, I think 25 million is an absolute steal.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of Decky, haven't we? We were told that he was not overly great when he came from Juventus. All the Juventus fans saying he's substandard. He came in, he looked amazing. He had a poor season this past season, but then so did the whole team. And to me, you've got to be excited about it. You've got to hope that he's going to go back to his original form that he had when he first came with us and show us just exactly what he can do. And to me, the future's bright with him. And like you say, 25 million, if we were buying him after that first season, we'd be paying a hell of a lot more. Hell of a lot more. And we would have been, if we would have been happy to have paid 35, 40 mil as fans, you'd have been screaming, just pay the money, just pay the money. So 25 million now, you can't argue. And look, Daniel Levy, it doesn't matter what you think of him. When it comes to transfers, getting him in, yeah, he cocks some up. He makes a mess of some, but he generally gets a pretty good deal on whatever he does. And you can't knock him for this deal. And anybody that knocks him for this deal, then you're just doing it for the sake of it.
Yeah, well, there's definitely... I've always said there's a lot of people, and I understand why people hate Daniel Levy or dislike him. I completely get it, right? But there's a lot of always opportunism, political opportunism when it comes to him. Any stick to beat him with will do. On this particular one, I don't think there's a stick available.
Yeah. Well, the only interesting thing will be, there are the odd rumours coming out that the manager didn't really want him, and if that's true, you kind of. You look at it and think, well, it's a club signing then, which as a fan, you want that type of club signing. But if the manager don't want him, let's hope he can show him what he's made of and make him want him rather than ending up like it was with Conte, where they're just frozen out. We don't know how this guy's going to be with our players yet. So let's hope it's not money wasted.
Do you know what, though? What I will say is, could that just be people stirring the pot a little bit because they know about Daniel Levy? I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm just saying it. It just so happens that we get a signing that a majority of us wants, and then all of a sudden it's, oh, well, the manager didn't want him. Do you know? Like, I just feel like it's easy. It's an easy narrative to skip to when it becomes that way. You don't have to give Levy any credit, basically, because you'll be like, well, actually... It didn't want him anyway.
If you look at it last year, Mia, every single player that we signed, in the end, the manager didn't want him, even though the only one that he called out was Spence. So therefore, he must have signed off on the rest of them. But it's the same old story, isn't it? The media give the fans what they seem to want to hear, and as long as it's negative, then it suits.
Well, do you know what? To be honest with you, like I heard from good, reliable sources and journalists that Paratici actually did have quite a lot of power, and he actually did get players in that Conte and him did discuss. So we can cherry pick what we choose to believe from the media. But obviously, I go by someone maybe was a bit more reliable. But I also heard that club signings happen with many clubs. There's always clubs that do club signings,
Well, if you watch that interview with the guy a couple of months ago that used to work for us with the signings, I can't remember his name now, and he admitted that, Daniel Levy does eventually get involved, but all the managers have. Pochettino and people like that have had the final say as to whether they really wanted him or not. So, it's just an easy way of blaming one person when it's not just one person's fault.
Yeah. No, I think it is. I've always been like that anyway. You know my opinions. You know that I always try. I will criticise Daniel Levy, but for what he needs criticising for. I'm not going to sit there and try and criticise for things that are, you know what I mean, unnecessary.
Yeah.
I feel like that's, you know, is Sean frozen?
I was going to say he's either frozen or he's still in. So
we've got a takeover.
Carry on, but yeah, no,
So,
I mean, I'm quite excited about Decky staying. I mean, it's nice for it to have got done quickly, and it's nice for it to not be dragging on. I mean, I think we had a deadline anyway of a couple of weeks, but
yeah, we've
seen in the past where it's just dragged on and dragged on and dragged on.
Do you know the other narrative was that as soon as someone else was coming in for Decky, everyone was up in arms going, "Oh my God, I can't believe we're going to let Decky go to another club."
Yeah, but were they, or again, is it just the media?
Of course, but I'm just saying, but the fans were up in arms about it. But then on the other hand, then they're saying, "Oh, it's a club signing. We do." Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can't have it both ways, basically.
No.
You back with us, Sean?
How's my internet doing, guys? I've had to already pivot. Am I okay now?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right at the moment. Yeah. So we didn't miss you, Sean. Don't
worry. We didn't miss you. We can talk for ages.
I could tell. I could tell. Yeah. No, I was looking for the comments saying, "Where's Sean gone? Where's Sean gone?" Instead, they're saying, "Good point, Soren. Good point, Mia." You know what? I'll just walk away from the show and let you guys take over. Easy peasy.
Yeah, we'll give you a shout when we need you back.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, look, for me personally, I heard what you guys were saying. I think that Decky is the only question marks I have about him is whether or not he's going to fully recover from his injury, because I don't think he did last season. I think as soon as his injury, he was rushed back. His hamstring is, once your hammy goes, I've said it a million times, it's never the same. It's like, a elasticated waist on a pair of jeans that you just stretched a little bit too much. It never quite gets back to where it's supposed to be. And for me, whether or not he's got the ability to do the press and whether or not he can do some of the efforts that are going to be required of him on that right wing role, whether or not Postecoglou wants to bring him back and play him in the kind of Matt O'Reilly role, that kind of third number 8, that will be interesting. I think that there's a lot of value in him as a player. I think he's a really good player. He's still very young. As long as the injury can recover at 25 million, I think he's really good. Obviously, what that does do at the same time, though, is it probably puts a nail in the coffin around some of the targets that we were probably going to get hold of, right? Or we were looking at least. Are we now going to get hold of him? And also, like, does Jadon Sancho, is that situation now? Should we just assume that's dead and buried anyway? For example,
I think that was going to happen anyway. It was too much money.
Yeah,
it was too much money. No way.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised.
Well, I'm glad it's here. Look. Oh, go on, mate. Go on. Sorry, mate.
No, I was just saying I'd be surprised if we'd have really gone for him properly.
Yeah, 100%. Let me say welcome to a couple of new members to the Spurs Talk Show puppies or the Spurs Talk Show ponies. I can't see right now which version of those two you are. Side Dancer and Martin Knightsbridge. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining. As I say, I am, now that my health stuff's out the way, I promise you guys I'm going to be starting doing what a lot of other channels do, which is, member phone-in shows and that once a week or maybe twice a week, depending on how many there are. I want to meet you all on the stream. So thank you so much to both of you. Really appreciate the support on the channel, and can't wait to say hello. That is awesome. Moving on with the conversation, guys. Let us pivot to... What's next on my list? Where's my list gone? Let's go for Harry Kane to Chelsea. There is, alongside PSG, let me get this article up for you. I mean, for a little while there, guys, I thought we were talking about potentially with PSG, maybe with Mbappe looking certain to go to Real Madrid this summer at one point, and Manchester United seemingly walking away because Daniel Levy wouldn't deal with him, with Manchester United. It came across to us, or to me at least, that maybe there was a stronger chance of Harry Kane staying, and like I've positioned this scenario, maybe signing a contract kind of under duress because there's nowhere really else for him to go that would make sense. But the rumours are pivoting a little bit. Obviously, Mbappe now is going to stay, or at least he says he's going to stay. at Paris for this summer, and then move to and then maybe see where it discuss his future or whatever next week. But Football London, who's wrote this article? Luke Thrower. I don't know if he's a Chelsea side or whoever he is. He's saying the transfer fate of Harry Kane can still have a twist in it yet, as clubs continue to circle a potential move for the Tottenham striker this summer. The England international is approaching his final year. Blah 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 blah. London rivals Chelsea may have thrown their hat in the ring for Kane, though, as reports state that they have inquired over a potential switch. It could see the 29-year-old reunited with former boss Mauricio Pochettino, though it remains to be seen how likely it is that Chairman Daniel Levy will negotiate with direct rivals. There is yet another external threat for the Lily Whites to deal with, though, as report from Relevo claims that PSG have begun laying the foundations for a move for Kane. The League One champions are currently assessing new manager options, but want to add a striker for their ranks regardless. Victor Osimhen and Randall Kolo Muani are said to be options for Le Parisiens, but interest in Kane from their side appears to be gathering momentum. Look, there's a little bit to chew through there, really, guys. First and foremost, let's start with the easy one. Paris Saint-Germain, they've got the money in all likelihood. I don't know whether or not Mbappe, it looks like he's not going to go anywhere this summer. He's probably going to stay for at least until next summer. But at some point, Paris are going to need a new striker. Is Harry Kane going to have any interest at all in going to Paris? I don't want to call it a farmers league, because actually there's some really good teams to watch in that league. But, does he want to go there? He'll definitely win things there. But is it competitive enough for him? I'll start with you, Mia, on this one. Sorry.
Do you know what? I don't know if he would. I don't know if PSG is a big enough pool for him. Although he will win stuff, I don't know if it would be or not, because it is a bit of a funny team anyway. In general, what they do, isn't it? Like they do like to. Like their aims is Champions League, which they never seem to get. They win stuff, but I don't know if that would be enough for him. I don't know. I can't see him as a PSG player. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
What
about you, Soren?
I say exactly the same. As much as you kind of look at PSG and they've had those big names in there, Mbappe, Messi. You just look at it and you think, is there enough motivation for Kane to go to France and play for PSG? I don't see it. I really don't see it. I see him playing in the blue of Chelsea before I see him playing in the blue and whatever colour it's meant to be of PSG. But, I don't want him to go. But it wouldn't surprise me if Poch has said to Bowley, I want that's the player I want. Stupid money being chucked at us, and you kind of look at it and think, well, is Daniel Levy going to turn down an absolutely ridiculous amount of money if Chelsea throw it at us?
Do you think Harry Kane would go to Chelsea though? Like, do you think he would be? I personally, if he was to go to Chelsea, especially if he was to go on a free transfer, I think he would go down as not that different to Sol Campbell.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't think he'd go on a free, but if Levy turned around and said, we're prepared to sell you to Chelsea, it wouldn't. I honestly don't know. I mean, I would kind of hope he'd say no, but, say for argument's sake, they've chucked 150 million bid in there, and Levy's turned around and said, right, it's up to you, Kane. It's up to you, Harry. What do you want to do? It wouldn't surprise me if Poch could get in his ear, if Poch could convince him to go. How would the fans react? I don't know. We saw how they reacted with Poch going. I think it'd be a hell of a lot worse with Kane going to them. But 150 million, a rebuild. If we got the right players in, which is a big if, it could be done. But I see Harry staying. I really do. I don't think he's going to go. It wouldn't surprise me if he signs a new contract.
I think it's the most likely. I've got to be honest. Drew Zilla saying a minute ago, if he was a betting man, and he is, he would put every worldly possession. Well, I forget what it was. It came up a minute ago. Here you go. I'll bet all my worldly possessions on it. He said he's patriotic, loves his country, 4 kids. I just can't see it. I think as well, as much as he has, like every club in the world would want to have him, the logistics, the reality, the cost, the risk, the legacy, the fact he's got his Premier League record.
But can I just put one thing on that? I know that maybe people won't like the comparison, but when you look at somebody like a David Beckham, he's a very patriotic man. He loves his country, yet he did move his family over to another country. He did take that big move. And I just think that kind of reasoning, there's so many other players that have done it and moved their families, and even though they are patriotic people. So I just don't see that as a reason.
But where's he going to, if he's going to go?
Yeah, but
where's he going to go though? Like, if Real Madrid aren't going to go for him.
No, but I think there's one big difference here, Mia. And we spoke about this on I can't remember if it was Sava's stream or something. Beckham's missus was quite happy to move to Madrid because of her career. Harry Kane's missus may not be the same. And I don't think Harry Kane's missus will be looking to move her family abroad. And that's why I think Harry Kane will stay in this country. Beckham and Harry Kane, very different family.
Okay. So my point would be then, I feel like that he sort of messed it up for himself by being indecisive. If he does go on a free next year and he wants to stay in this country, where's he going to go where he's going to guarantee trophies? Where's he going to go? And that's the problem. And that's the thing, isn't it? Because if he does want to aim for those big trophies, then where's he going to go that wants him?
If he's going on a free, it wouldn't surprise me if City even took him as a backup or first. He
wants to be a backup. I don't think.
Well, no, but I'm not saying backup. But what I mean is, though, somebody like City, if you can get Harry Kane on a free, I think anybody would take Liverpool. There'll be teams that. Not guaranteed, because nobody's guaranteed to win a trophy. There will be teams that could quite easily win a trophy that will come in for Harry Kane next year if he's on a free. But I just think that going abroad, it's a totally different scenario for Harry Kane as to people like David. I mean, David Beckham moved a lot earlier in his career as well.
He'd also won everything as well. He'd also won all the things that he'd already needed. So it wasn't necessarily... might have been a million different variables or nuanced reasons as to why, whether someone else was saying here about Victoria wanted to go, she might have wanted a bit of a different lifestyle.
I do get that. But don't forget, Kane hasn't won anything. So surely he want to set his aim high to win something and go to those places. But I do feel like that if we keep him and let him go on a free, it's criminal. If he goes to Chelsea, that's even more criminal for me. Whether we give him, let him go on money to Chelsea or for free to Chelsea, that's criminal in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think that would be really awful for him.
What we've got to remember is, though, I mean, we're comparing him to the player in the past that went, but that player in the past always said he wasn't going to leave, and then he left. Whereas Harry Kane's never said, "Oh, I'm going to run down my contract and then sign a new one." So, yes, it'll be, we'll treat it the same, but the actual circumstances on both are very different.
I understand the circumstances are different, but I think that he would really sever his relationship with the Spurs fans. I don't know if he would actually do that because
I don't think he'll go to Chelsea.
I don't think he would.
Yeah, I really don't. Could you imagine him getting to the stage next year where he's only, say, 20 goals or 30 goals, and he goes and does it at Chelsea in one season? That would be heartbreaking for us fans, wouldn't it? It really would.
Yeah. I mean, look, Chelsea right now are an unknown entity. I was having this conversation with someone on Twitter a couple of days ago. They think that Chelsea are going to be challenging for the title next year. And I was making the argument, well, look, they may or may not have the squad that is capable as individuals, but they had a squad that was capable of challenging for a lot last year, and they finished 11th. Right. Yeah. So it's not all about the individuals. It's, it's the kind of team spirit, the ethos, the getting to know each other, the figuring out how to play to each other's strengths and limiting the vulnerabilities. And they didn't figure any of that out. I understand at the start of the season, there was lots of new players in there, and there was the disruption with the Graham Potter pivot, but from Tuchel to Potter, but they've been together for a year, an entire season. They were terrible from start to finish. And I don't, why is there any assumption that just because they've got an extra month, they're going to have suddenly figured it out? They're an unknown entity. I don't think that Harry Kane necessarily goes to Chelsea and has a 99% chance of winning a trophy. He's got a much bigger chance of winning a trophy than he has at Tottenham currently. But then we don't know what Tottenham's doing. One of the things this guy, 1 second, sorry, just quickly, let me finish my point. Mark was bringing out a really good, interesting thing here. I forget where it is now a minute ago. I did bring it up, Mark. He said he wants to see Harry Kane make Daniel Levy sweat and that just sign kind of 1 year extensions and see how the project goes. Always have that 1 year buffer, but just kick the can down the road a little bit and see what happens. And I think that's quite an interesting take. Sorry, and what were you saying, mate?
Well, I was about to say something very similar. You know, could you imagine that we get to a final or actually win one of the 2 cups that we're in next year? What's to say you won't just sign an extra year's extension? Or what's to say, you know, Daniel Levy doesn't say to him, look, sign a 1 or a 2 year extension with a buyout clause in it that's feasible to go next season, you know, so you're not going on a free at least, but we'll put something in there that gives you the chance to go. But, you know, what's to say we won't go and win a cup next year?
Is that enough for Harry Kane? That's the question, isn't it? But we don't know. We're just speculating because we don't know. But for me, as an individual who's quite a competitive person, if I was in Harry Kane's shoes, at the end of my career, saying that I had one cup of like a league cup, it's big for us because we want to win a trophy. Absolutely, I'm not dissing it. But for Harry Kane, because the type of player he is, just to say he won 1 league cup, I just don't think is enough at his level.
The thing is, though, Mia, he won't have just won a league cup. He'll have won a league cup. He'll have possibly become the all-time Premiership leading scorer. He's the England leading scorer. He's Tottenham's leading scorer. He's scored the most goals with a head. He's scored this. He's broke so many records. And people say, oh, he's a loser if he don't want to go and win the Premiership or whatever. But when you look back on what you've won, yeah, he might not have an actual medal, but he can turn around and say, I was the top scorer. Nobody scored more goals than me in the Premiership.
Yeah, but that might... But hold on a minute.
That's broken, but
that's going to get broken
for 10 years.
But if when he's
won't get broken for a long time.
When he's an old man and it has been broken, he sits down with his grandchildren and they say to him, Granddad, what did you do when you was a footballer? Oh, I once held this amount of goals, but it actually got broken. Like, I just think at the elite level, when you look at these elite players, they want more. They are hungry for trophies. Yeah. They're hungry to win. And that's how I feel his mentality. And like I say, I'm a competitive person. If I play something, I want to bloody win it. I want to win it. If I play a game with the kids, I still beat them because I don't care because I want to win. And they've got to learn that sometimes you've got to do better, innit? You've got to learn. So I'm very competitive. And if that's me as just a person who's not an elite sports person, I'd like to think that Kane would have like 100 times more expectations than I would to win stuff. To say that he's won those big trophies.
Yeah, but Mia, who do you see breaking his record?
If Haaland stays in the Premier League,
Haaland won't stay. Haaland will not stay in the Premier League.
He's young. He can stay.
He'll be at Real Madrid within the next 3 to 5 years max.
Yeah, and I'd imagine that as well, to be honest.
Well, we don't know that, do we? So we can't say we're speculating that it won't get broke.
Yeah, let's look at it another way.
So you're telling me in the top right? So the age that Harry Kane is, he's what, 10, just around 10 and a bit years younger than me. So by the time that I'm 80. Hopefully, touch wood, that's how long I live. By the time I'm 80, nobody else would have broke that record. And by the time he's in his 70s.
Maybe not. So, maybe not. It's a moot point anyway, guys. I just want to get to the super chat and another member because we've already been going 35 minutes and I didn't expect the Harry Kane debate to go. It was just a question whether we go to Chelsea or to PSG, to be honest.
People, and also, can I just say that I haven't got an agenda against Kane because everyone keeps spreading this lie that I hate Kane. It isn't that, because the fact that I want him to, that I feel like he should want that means I feel he's elite enough to want that and to aim high. That's because I rate him as a player because I feel like he should want to. I don't sit here and say that that Harry Winks should want to aim that high because obviously no way. But a player like Kane, he's such a great player. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I agree with you that if it comes to Harry Kane leaving for free, then there's a massive problem. So we have to figure that out this in the next 6 weeks, and Harry Kane needs to have a conversation. Moss Chops, though, is going to finish the conversation for us on this particular one before we move on, saying Kane will not go to Chelsea, full stop. Plus, Poch cannot win a Premier League. Oh, slander on Poch's name. Listen, I don't hate it. I've got no allegiance to Pochettino anymore. It was like an ex-girlfriend of mine. If she wants to go, she wants to move on and marry a douchebag, then so be it. And that's what he's done. So
that's basically what my ex done. So it happens.
Well, there you go. Also, another new member to the channel. Welcome, John. I'm not sure if that's a welcome or a welcome back. There has been a John before. And I think that might have been you, seeing that animal's head in the icon. Thank you so much for the support on the channel, mate. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to meeting you on the live streams when we get that going. Hopefully this week. I will put out a message about that in the community board. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's get away from Harry bloody Kane. I'm a little bit sick and tired of talking about his exit. I personally don't think he'll go to Paris Saint-Germain. I don't think there's much of a challenge there. And I don't think he'll go to Chelsea. I don't think he'll do it. Let's move on to... let's go to Conor Gallagher. Chelsea. It's all about Chelsea. If Daniel Levy won't sell if Daniel Levy won't sell Harry Kane to Chelsea, there is this historical frustration on not being able to do business between the two clubs. Conor Gallagher has been linked with Tottenham and Newcastle as almost like the bridesmaid to James Maddison. If whichever club doesn't get Maddison may turn their attentions to Conor Gallagher. The money that's been touted is £50 million or £45 million, something like that. For me personally, I think Conor Gallagher is a really good player. I know he's a lot of people have a split decision on him. Some people think he's good, some people don't. I'm not sure he's worth £50 million, but of course you factor in the English tax and he's young and everything else. But I'd have absolutely no problem with Tottenham having him in the squad. I think he's an absolute workhorse. I think he's creative. I think he's got a great range of passes. He can score with both goals. He gets back and defends really well. I'll bring up the stats if we need to, but I'm worried about my channel becoming synonymous as a stat merchant. It's not what I like to be. Like, I don't want to do that stuff all the time, but sometimes if you form an opinion and you can pivot to the stats to see whether or not your opinion lines up with the reality, other times you don't need to bring them out. But for me, Conor Gallagher is a very, very good player, and I like him. I think he's a bit of a nasty piece of work as well, which I actually think would go down quite well in the in Postecoglou's kind of what he's looking for as a character. Not when I say nasty, let me rephrase that. I'm not saying he's a dirty player. I just mean I think he'll get fired up. Like he'll get behind something. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Everyone in the chat, yes or no to Conor Gallagher. But Soren, let's start with you. Conor Gallagher, is he do you like him at all? Do you rate him? Do you put him above or below Maddison? And where do you stand on his valuation?
I definitely have him. Would I have him instead of Maddison? I kind of like the idea that we get a younger version of Maddison in with Gallagher that, maybe we're building towards something. The problem is, have we got enough time to build towards something? He's probably going to step into our first team anyway, isn't he? So would I like to see him instead of Maddison? Probably, yeah. I think I would actually. Because I think, either that or get them both, but I can't see that happening. Do I think you're paying for a future with him as well, though, aren't you? Because what is he, 23?
Yeah, I'm just getting him up now.
And I think, is Maddison 26, 27? Or is he older than that?
Conor Gallagher is 23 years old.
Yeah.
James Maddison's 27, I think, isn't he? Let me have a
look. I think if we're looking to do something now, then you've got to get Maddison in, haven't we? He's a class player.
James Maddison's 26.
Yeah, if we're looking to build something, then I think we'd possibly go for Gallagher. And I don't think, personally, if we got one or the other, I wouldn't be disappointed. As long as we got somebody of that type of thing. But if we're looking for a win now, Maddison, I'd be first choice.
But we're not looking to win now, are we? Because we're not at that position.
Well,
but
yes and no. I mean, we all sit here and say, "Oh, it's going to be a rebuild, and we're going to give them." No, there's not many fans are going to sit back and they'll be booing after 5 or 6 matches if they're already starting to lose. And
but then
no, we all sit here and say we're going to give them time, and a lot of fans will give him time. I get that, but they'll be discontent. It won't take long.
So for me, I wouldn't want Gallagher. I'm not too sure about him as a player. I don't particularly like Maddison personally either. I'd much rather have Eze. I think Eze is a fantastic player. I think that he fits everything that Postecoglou would want. I really do like him. And we've also got Alfie Devine. He likes bringing in young players through. So why not use one of our own in Alfie Devine as well?
Yeah.
So
well,
for
Alfie Devine would be someone that you'd hope would be in the squad, right? He gets minutes, but you don't want him to be someone that immediately comes into the first
of course.
team.
But I would say that Eze could come into the team. I think he's young enough. I think that he's got a higher ceiling than Maddison. I think that he's got more. I think his abilities are fantastic, and I think he fits everything that Postecoglou would want. I feel like he's got a better attitude as well.
Was this
like
Eze?
Yeah, Eze.
Yeah, the thing about Eze is right is that Crystal Palace. I think that Crystal Palace they've lost Zaha, right, on a free transfer. Are they really going to sell Eze? They might. I don't know what Crystal Palace's ambitions or intentions are this summer, but I'd be amazed if they even need to raise that much money. They might sell one of their better players. They might sell Joaquin Anderson. They might sell Mark Guehi.
I don't know how long Eze's got left on his contract either. So he might have I'm not sure. I think it might be 2 years left. I think. I'm not entirely sure.
I just don't think that Eze's going. I don't think Crystal Palace would lose both Zaha and Eze in the same window. I feel like they would be completely crippled of creativity. They only have
Eze is one of those players, Sean, that if the bid was right, he would go. But I mean, you're probably talking 80 million.
No way.
I bet you he would not go for less than 70, 80.
Well,
70.
last year in November, he was worth 30 million, they reckon.
Yeah, but the Ross Zaha, they're not going to let him go.
Yeah, no, of course, but I understand that. But if it depends how long he's got on his contract left. I think.
I'll tell you what will dictate it all. Jumping back a little bit, if Mbappe goes or Kane goes, depending what the prices are for them, that's what will dictate the prices of players this year.
Yeah.
If they go early enough, obviously. If it's last day, then it won't make a difference. But I don't see Eze going for less than 70 million.
I'd be surprised. I think I'd say 55 million. For me, again, it comes down to do Crystal Palace need the money? I don't think that they do. I'm not sure that they do. Right? I think that someone else in the last time I spoke about him on a live stream a few days ago, someone put in the comments that Crystal Palace's revenue was like 200 million quid last year. I haven't looked into it, but I'd be surprised if it's that low. And I'd be surprised if Crystal Palace really need to sell. They might need to sell one of their superstars or one of their top end players. But like I said before, I just don't think that they're going to want to completely liquidate their attacking assets. But someone does make a good point here. Callum Roche, welcome to the stream, mate. He says Palace can get Gallagher when we can get Eze. Yeah, I mean, Crystal Palace loves the fans at Crystal Palace absolutely adored Conor Gallagher from his time there on loan the season before last. So, there might be some angle there. And I'd absolutely prefer Eze over Gallagher. I'd probably prefer Eze over James Maddison if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But
me too.
But James Maddison's been there and done it. Remember, Eze's is a one-season guy so far. No doubt the talent is there.
Same as Harry.
Yeah, exactly. Same as Harry Kane. 100%. Guys, there's 525 of you in the house. It's amazing for this early on a Sunday evening. Please smash the like button for me. And also get over to, I'm going to get the link up in a second when I've got a chance to breathe. Get over to Spurs Between the Lines to help Mia out. How many subs you on now, Mia?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. I didn't even look. I think it is 541.
Wow. If you can tell you what, if you can get the link of your channel and put it in the private chat, then I can drop it into the comments and let's hope we can get up to at least 600 for you by the end of the stream. Let's see what people in the chat are saying. Foggy Foam is saying Maddison and Hatate to play as 2 number 8s and Basuma behind them. Look, the problem with that for me, Foggy, it's incredibly aggressive. Like Hatate's a wonderful player to play in the pocket. really good, right? Really good. And I think he is a little Luka Modric, waiting to happen. But I just don't know if Basuma's good enough to be able to sit in front of that back four, or that will actually be more of a back three, because Udogie will be asked to join the attacking five. I just don't know whether or not that is going to be enough protection. Remember, it's easy for Manchester City, who could what Tottenham are going to try and emulate here under Ange is essentially what Man City do: 70% possession. When you don't have the ball, you're going to press as high as you can, and the goalkeeper's going to go long, and then you're hopefully going to outperform in the air from the defenders or the number 6 to win the ball back, recycle, and go again. And it sounds wonderful on paper, but in reality, Manchester City can do that brilliantly because they've got world-class players in every single position. Tottenham don't. And often Tottenham, even if we go and buy some of these players, they're still not going to be world-class, and they're still going to be matched by a lot of the teams that we're going to be playing against. And so to me, I feel like you need to have a little bit more balance, because I think that we're going to have a lot more transitions and turnovers where we're going to lose the ball, where we're trying to be clever and tricky and technical, and we're trying to do kind of slow, methodical build-up play. But all of that stuff requires pass completions of 93, 94% across the park. It requires people to have a speed of thought and a speed of mind and a speed of transition that I look across the current squad and don't see enough of it. So I worry whether or not this... I'm excited. I'm excited anyway. I don't want to put the breakers or the downers on it, but I just think that we are going to lose the ball a lot trying to play this system. And when we do, it's going to be a case of how quickly can we get back. And to this point about having Maddison and Hatate playing the 2-8 and then just Basuma behind, I'm not sure Basuma has I think he's good at everything. I'm not sure he's great at any of the individual things that you need from that monster number 6 that like a Sofiane Amrabat could do, or like a, dare I say it, a Ruben Neves. And I'd love to take this opportunity to pivot the conversation to Ruben Neves, because that, I don't know what to call him, money orientated, could have been a wonderful world-class player, has decided to leave the Premier League at the age of 26 and go and pick up £3 million a week playing in Saudi Arabia. It's a scary thing for me, because until now, all of those players that have gone there have been 32, 33-year-olds that have done what they've wanted, and they're picking up their final paycheck and securing their family's future for generations, which is fine. Good luck to them. But Ruben Neves doing it, and Wolves accepting the 48 million quid bid, doesn't sit right with me. It's a real shame, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, guys. I'll start with you on this one, Mia.
You muted, Mia.
Oh, come on, Mia.
What is going on with me today? Look, I was up early this morning, okay? I think that it's really a shame, and I didn't think it would take that long, to be honest with you, for a player to do this, because it was always inevitable that there are going to be players that are going to have their head turned by that amount of money. Like, it is inevitable, because they just offer ridiculous amounts. And it is a shame, but I feel like it's going to happen more and more, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Someone's saying in the chat here he only wanted to go to Barcelona, and Barcelona couldn't afford him. So if it's not Barcelona, it's nobody. Like, for me, the guy is good enough to get into Arsenal's team. If Thomas Partey are losing, Thomas Partey, and we should talk about that as well. I know it's a Tottenham stream, but we should spend a couple of seconds talking about Arsenal, and let me bring in Jacob into the chat, because he's in the background. What's happening, Jacob? How are you?
Hey. Good afternoon, everyone. Or evening, I guess, for Sean and Mia. Soren, I don't know where you're at, but it might be evening for you. Good evening.
Yeah, I'm in the UK as well, Jacob.
Well, big ups. How are y'all doing?
Yeah, good, mate. We're just talking about Ruben Neves. And so I was making the point that for me, the number 6 role at Tottenham is crucial. It's key, right? And I think that people have got this dream world scenario in their head where we're going to be able to have 75% possession and do what Manchester City do. And I just don't think it's going to be anywhere near as successful consistently until we gradually over time get the quality of the players up. I don't think Basuma's good enough at he's good at everything, but not great at anything in that particular role. And so the idea of putting Maddison and Hatate in front, or Decky in the 8 and Maddison in there, I just think it's wildly aggressive. And it's cool if it works, but when it doesn't work, and it won't work quite often, the transition is going to kick on. I think that you're going to need somebody in front of the back. First of all, you're going to need world-class defenders, and you're going to need someone sat in front who is an absolute monster who can protect. And for me, Ruben Neves could have been someone who could have done that job. And so we're just talking now about, what's your thoughts on his ambition? I think he could have got into Arsenal. I think he could have, because Partey and Xhaka are leaving. 100% he could get into Arsenal now. I think he could get into Newcastle probably ahead of Sean Longstaff. Whatever Longstaff's first name is, 100% he could. He could get into Liverpool.
I think it is Sean. I think you're right. I think it is
Sean Longstaff. I think it is Sean Longstaff.
I'm about to look.
He could get into Liverpool's team right now. I'd make the argument he could get into. Could he play alongside or instead of Casemiro? Maybe not. But you take the point, right? Like he's up there as a player, guys, where he could play for pretty much most teams in the world. And if Barcelona were the only team he wanted and they said they can't afford him, he then goes, "Oh, screw my career. I'll go and play in Saudi Arabia."
But Sean, we've got to remember that not every player plays it for the love of the game necessarily. That some players do play it for the money. And,
how much did they say how much he's getting paid?
I think I read somewhere 3 million a week. I could be wrong about that. So I don't want to.
I mean,
look, if the guy is in it for the money and he's thinking to himself, look, by the age of 33, 34, I'm going to be out of football, but I don't want to do another job after that, then why not go take the money? If he's honest enough to say that's his reasons, he's going for the money rather than he's going for football and things like that, then fair play to him. Let him earn what he wants to earn. It's a shame, and we'll look at it in a few years' time and say it was either a good move or a bad move, depending why he's done it. If he's moved for the money, I'm not going to diss him.
But you know what? The only thing is about moving for the money is that more and more players are going to do that. And is that really... And is that what we want? The younger players now starting to think, "Ooh, money. Oh, do you know what I mean? Like it just kind of ruins it, doesn't it? To be honest.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. A little bit of like, if you're viewing it, what is he? 26, I think he is. So he's not in the age of like, what's his name from Chelsea, Kante. So he's not like that. He's not like Ronaldo. He's not like Benzema, where he's at the latter stages of his career, but he could be looking at it like might be now, because maybe in 5 years when he's ready to do that move, maybe the Saudi league realized this isn't the formula they want, so they're going a different route. Maybe in 5 years that league looks completely different and he could be at the forefront of that. It might be, to me, it might be a little bit of that, well, everyone's buying Bitcoin, so why don't I just buy a little bit and see what happens? You know what I mean? What could hurt?
If you go back a few years, and even now, all the young players want to say come and play either in Spain or in the Premiership. It's kind of a similar thing that countries are losing the best players to go into certain leagues. Now, the Saudi league is a lot different because it hasn't got the prestige, but it's got the money. That's the difference. It's got the money. It's a bit like America did it not so long back. They were, again, it was...
You might be able to buy that prestige. That's what I'm thinking is maybe if you buy enough of these 26 to 32-year-olds who are big name players who could, as Sean said, like Ruben Neves, play anywhere. He can have the pick of the lot where he wants to play. But you know what? Maybe there's something happening over there that we're all unaware of. Maybe there's a little bit... I don't know, but money, I would argue, could be the thing that could buy you that prestige. Generational wealth, if you think about it from his end.
Maybe it's to help their own players come on a little bit. You get the best players in the world playing for your league, it brings your own.
Let their youth watch them, right? If they're like Al Hadid or whatever, if they have like a youth program, let them train a few times with the likes of Ronaldo or whoever they got, the big names, and learn from. So I agree. They could be working on something that money would be the catalyst to get them there, and we could be seeing that. But I saw a comment that says, worry when Mbappe goes there. If Mbappe goes there, then I'm like, okay, there's something for sure.
He won't go there now. He could get paid as much money as he wants.
Yeah, at Real Madrid. That's true.
Anywhere. You know? He won't
but
go.
See, that's
Maybe
the thing.
He might go
but
there
if he did, hypothetically, Sean, if he did, then I would think the alarm bells for me at that point would be like, okay, they're grabbing the best talent, regardless of age. They're grabbing it and they're putting it in their league because they want to make a product that, they're trying to be proud of. And I like the ambition. I think
how much money he'll get offered to go there if he runs his contract down at Paris. But one more season. Can you imagine? And what about Harry Kane? Here's a question for you: if Harry Kane went to Saudi Arabia, right, and he wins a trophy in Saudi Arabia, does that mean he ends his trophy?
Who's just won a trophy over there in one of those countries? Nuno.
Two in a row, baby. Hey.
If Nuno can win it, then anybody can go and win something, surely.
Do you reckon we could convince them to have Ndombele if they want to pay big money for players? I reckon we could try and convince them, just like sell him.
I do think they do have a standard. So
they have a standard. Yeah, they
at least got to run out for 90.
You've got to be able to run.
Yeah.
If they put something in front of him like a hamburger, he might.
Yeah.
Well, obviously not a hamburger.
The carrot and the hamburger on the stick sort of thing.
Yeah, not a hamburger though. It has to be
it is a shame, but they always say money talks.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, money will buy you that prestige.
532 of you in the house. It was awesome to see on a Sunday evening. Really appreciate it. But there's only 270. I say only 276 likes. It's actually amazing to have 276 likes. Can we get to 300? And whilst you're at it, I have put the link for Mia's channel in the chat. Let me get up. Jacob, if you want to send me your link as well, mate, in the private chat, I'll be able to put yours in there as well. See if these wonderful people that have dialed into this particular conversation also fancy getting over there and helping out some of the other guys.
Showing the love,
from the community. There's Mia's channel, guys. If you want to just smack it, it doesn't take you away from the stream. It just pops up another tab, hit the subscribe button, and then help her on a mission to a 1K. And Jacob's going to sing his in a second.
Ben Kaufman's asking to come on.
Yeah. Okay. How's he doing that, brother? I'll get you a link in a second, Ben. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to move the conversation forward towards who else? Let's talk about this particular one. Give me 5 minutes, Ben, and I'll get the link for you, mate. I just want to get the conversation moved on to the next story, and I'll hand over for the other guys to talk about. Let's talk about this particular one. I know it's a dream world scenario, but the story's out there again today. The Athletic have claimed that Tottenham target Aymeric Laporte does look certain to leave Manchester City this summer. Blah 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 blah. What's his name? Ange Postecoglou was given Spurs hierarchy the green light to sign a centre-back just days after officially taking over the club's head coach. The publication named Laporte as one of the three options on Tottenham's wish list alongside United's Harry Maguire and Wolves' Max Kilman. I'm scrapping Harry Maguire. I don't even want us to talk about Harry Maguire on this channel. I think he's absolutely worthless in a back four with a high line. I've done a load of videos on my particular stuff, my particular flavors for the back line, but I want to get yours opinion. Who is your number one to fit on the left-hand side? Please tell me it's a left-footed, left-sided centre-back. And is it Laporte? Is it Ndicka? Is it Max Kilman? Is it Pau Torres or Piero Hincapié? Let us know in the chat as well, guys, who it is you'd like to see. I'll start with you on this one, Jacob, and I'm going to get Ben the link.
Sean, I've been talking to you about this cat from Wolfsburg about a year now. Mickey Van de Veen. Yes. Van de Ven. I don't know how you say his name, but get the van, pick him up, because bring him to Tottenham Hotspur. I think he's a great young prospect. Not that I think he would pair necessarily well with Romero or that is the solid option, but this is a guy that I've admired, and now he's linked with Liverpool, so he's definitely not going to come here. But this is a guy that I've been saying I would like, a young kid. He probably wouldn't have been expensive last summer when I was asking for him. But I think Ndicka already signed the contract with Roma. He got offered something like 80 some. Yeah, so Ndicka's definitely not on the option. I mean, if Laporte would come here, then yes, obviously, 1,000%. Anyone from City want to come here? Any left-sided?
Is he your number one? Because there are players out there that, for me, I think Laporte is absolutely sensational, right? He's proven that he hasn't got the pace of some of the other players, but he's proven that his experience doing it for City is up there. He's incredible. So he's, and also I think he's the leader that can calm down Romero. But I think that the only question mark I would have about it is the frequency in which the ball would get knocked over the top against Tottenham. That doesn't happen with Manchester City. I make the point again, right? Manchester City are masters of recycling and retaining possession. They don't turn over the ball as much as Tottenham are, because we're A, novices at trying this style, and B, we're not going to have the world-class players. And so that frequency of losing the ball and then strikers that are fast or really quick inside forwards of any of the top 15 teams in the Premier League that will be sitting on the shoulder of that high line and then we lose the ball and someone dinks the ball over the top, and David Raya maybe his position's not quite right, or whoever the goalkeeper is, and he can't play the sweeper role, then is Laporte going to have the pace to be able to get back, not just once or twice a game like he does for Manchester City, but 10, 12 times a game potentially, because of the frequency, the amplified frequency that it might happen in a Tottenham team. It's the only concern I have about Laporte is whether or not he's going to have like whether or not the amount of times we're going to need to get back and trace back is going to be higher, and that will exhaust him a little bit.
I think a little bit of that you have to try and balance the leadership role, like, because we need somebody who's going that Romero will respect and listen to, and when he says, hey, watch, easy there, come here, cover me there, he'll actually listen and abide by this man. So, but again, Laporte, I think, would bring something to the back line that, maybe we don't have. But in regards to his pace, I guess I'm so easy right now, Sean, because of what I've seen. Longley, and people were getting up in arms about Longley. I like Bremer, but he wanted his Italian citizenship that summer after he won Serie A Defender of the Year when we were trying to get him. He didn't want it. He wanted Juve. He wanted to stay in Italy. I would have loved Bremer. Bremer and Romero, I think, would be a great. But when you ask me what my top targets would be, I guess my first question I internally ask myself is this kind of like my wet dream signings, like, or realistic, like actual signings that we might make? So it's a little bit. If
Laporte's realistic, then I guess
is it?
I don't think.
I'm
saying I don't think he is realistic. But I'm saying if we're discussing
Laporte being realistic, yeah, I agree. You know I see what you mean there. So yeah. I mean, if we're talking that, I mean, obviously Vardiol's going to City, so they're going to get one out. One of their center halves are going to be leaving that club. So I wouldn't mind picking up whoever that is, whether it's Laporte. Definitely not going to be Stones. I think Stones solidified his role this season. I think they just got a slew of players, and once they get in Josko Vardiol, someone's got to go. They just got Ake rolling on all cylinders. Akanji just had a really great season, first from Borussia Dortmund, I think it was. So I don't see them leaving. It definitely seems like Laporte would leave. I just don't think he would come to Tottenham, but I will definitely have him. The pace, I'm not too concerned about. I think the quality he would bring and all other aspects would help cover that.
Okay.
But I do like me a Serie A Defender of the Year. Give me Bremer. I'll take him.
Oh.
I like Bremer as well. Yeah. I'd much rather Bremer than Ibanez. I'm so worried about. Have you guys seen?
I'm worried about Ibanez and Hincapié.
Well, the problem with Ibanez for me is, look, good player. I don't think he's been tested in this particular style of football. Doesn't mean he can't adapt. But the thing that terrifies me more about him than anything else is his disciplinary record. In 31 league games last season, he got 11 yellows. And in another game, he got 2 yellows, which turned into a red card. And in a different game, he got a red card. So that is the equivalent of 14 bookings in 31 games. He also has a ratio of a booking every 3 fouls. If Romero is a crazy man, then this guy is like, he should be sectioned as a lunatic. Like there's levels to this game, and we think Romero's like risque. This guy likes the challenge, and I worry a little bit how many times we're going to finish a match with 11 men. Ben, welcome to the show, mate. But before I come to you, let me get to Soren on this one. Soren, go wherever you want with it, mate. Left back, left side of centre.
Laporte, find me a Tottenham fan that doesn't want him. That'd be the interesting thing. But he's not going to come. Come on, we're going back to last year talking about Vardiol coming and Hakimi coming. Laporte's probably not going to come to Tottenham, unfortunately. If we got him, absolutely fantastic. Hincapié, I'd be quite happy with him. Have we totally given up on Skriniar? Has he signed for PSG?
Yeah, he has. Yeah,
has he signed? Right, fair enough. I'd probably be looking at Hincapié maybe. I think he's
kind of played a left back all season like a left wing back almost for Leverkusen this season. I've started watching him when we were linked with him a few summers back, and I like him, but I just worry about him and Romero. Even if we did get him to play that left-sided center back, which he could do because he did do that for them, I just worry him and Romero are very similar in their mindset.
I suppose the only thing that would worry me maybe with Hincapié is he, if we do play, say, with a back four, between him and Romero, who's our aerial defender, really? Because I don't think Hincapié he's not 6 foot, is he? Romero's not
Realistically, though, guys, there's only one defender we should have. If we look at this Tottenham team, sorry to interrupt, what is one thing this Tottenham team are all poor at? Aerial headers. There's only one guy we should have.
Cappy 5'11".
That's Nikola Milinkovic. I've been banging this drum for 2 years. Shorty knows it.
Yeah,
Fiorentina.
6'7".
Yeah, but he's not fast though. He's not fast
He's
enough.
not fast. If we're only going to play a back
We've got
four,
3 fast defenders. We've got Udogie, we've got Porro, we've got Romero.
But Ben, the problem with that is Porro and Udogie are not necessarily defensive. They are attacking. That would leave, if you've got a back two of him and Romero, there's no pace in there.
I don't think there's any chance of seeing. I personally don't think there's any chance of seeing Porro at right back and Udogie at left back in the same four. If we do have that, I think we'll be absolutely ripped to shreds.
Milinkovic is the guy we should have. That's a proper defender.
I'd love to have him at the club.
Defender.
I do like a 6'5" defender personally. I'm partial to that, but I don't know.
He's 6'7".
According to what I'm looking at, it says 6'5", but you could be right. Maybe he's grown since the last time they've done this. He's only 25. So
He's got big boots.
He's a very good
there
player.
it is.
I really like him.
Little filler.
Very, very good player.
In the back three, I'd agree with you, Ben, but I don't think in the back four.
But also, we've got to think realistically. No top centre half is going to come to us whilst we're out of Europe and not in the Champions League. So we need to get either someone who's on their way out, but still a good defender, or we need to get someone young and up and coming. So Milinkovic is a good start, and he wouldn't be too expensive, and I think he'd be good for what we offer.
Is he even a left footer though? He's not a left side.
no, it says right. It says
He's a
right.
right
He could play the center of a 3.
Yeah, I really do like the player. I just don't think he suits the system.
No,
I'll take your point about him in the air, though, Ben.
We need a defender that can head a ball.
Yeah, and I don't think you're wrong.
Not good in the air. Laporte is decent in the air, from what I
What
remember.
about Torres?
He comes to us.
Pau Torres isn't that bad in the air, though, is he?
No, Pau Torres
is
a good, isn't he, via stats?
Is he?
No, he's 6 foot. I can get his stats up in a second. I can't remember.
Pau Torres is a very good player, but he's rejected us twice. We can't go for a player that's already rejected us twice.
He's 6'4", Pau Torres.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean he's good.
I don't think Pau Torres doesn't really play. Pau Torres doesn't really play that sort of system, though, guys. Like he went for Villarreal, he bombs down the left. He's almost a ball playing player. Let me get his stats up, and you'll see.
You need a defender who's good in the air. That's the most important thing.
I mean, that's the thing we do, Ben. But I do also think it depends on the system. That if we're going to play a back four, we can't, and we're going to play a high line, we can't have somebody without pace. And
Pau Torres has got it in spades. Unfortunately, for someone never seen someone who is 6'4" be so low in the aerial. In the aerial stats. But listen, you have to take into consideration, right, that obviously the percentage one is low, and but when he's only involved in a small amount of if he's only involved in kind of 3 headers per game, those stats are going to look.
In some?
They're going to look. They're going to look like manipulated or manufactured to look terrible. But if you actually watch Pau Torres, the way he plays, the way Villarreal play, so much goes down the left-hand side, and he's the guy who's progressing the ball out. I mean,
he's very good on the ball, Pau Torres, but
he's amazing. He's amazing on the ball, right? And he's carrying distance.
Our weaknesses. Our weaknesses are at corners and balls in the air. That's our weaknesses at the moment. It's not so much our pace. He's really not.
He doesn't really have that many defensive responsibilities for Villarreal. He's more he's almost like a midfielder the way he carries the ball out. So the stats can be a little bit kind of.
They can be
misleading. But at the same time, really good player. But I'll take your point, Ben. He has rejected us twice. I want to bring you in on this one. You haven't had your say yet. Who's your realistic and unrealistic pick at left-sided centre-back? And please say a left footer. We need balance.
Oh, do you know what? I'm probably on the Ndika train more so. And then unrealistic. He's gone.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think unrealistic is Laporte is unrealistic, and like you say, it could be a case of without the speed, but he's got that experience. He is a very experienced player. Do you know what? I'm so undecided on a left-footed. I find it's so much harder to find one that I'm actually I think has got all the attributes to complement Romero. I think that's what you've got to have. You've got to have someone who's it's like yin and yang. And I feel like that. I don't know who else would actually.
I'll bring it up. I'll bring up. Let me treat
Bella
everybody.
Kotchap's a good player.
Let me
Even
show
though
you.
they got relegated. I mean,
do you know what? I don't. It's for a left-footed because all the ones I like are tend to be right-footed.
Yeah.
Like the ones I've looked at, and I've been like, yeah, I think he looks good and he looks like he would suit. Have actually been right-footed. So, like I say, I think it's a bit harder to actually find left-footed ones that fit the criteria more.
Here we go. We'll get it for you right this second. We can go.
I
Everyone's
agree
shitting
with
on
Jacob
Romero in the comments,
in
by the
terms
way.
of we need a centre back that Romero is afraid of. That's what we
Yeah,
need.
that's what I'm saying. Because
We need someone that's going to beat him up if he does something wrong.
That's what I'm saying, Ben. But all the options, I don't see them doing that. If that makes sense, it's really hard. I think Laporte would. I think Laporte would keep him in line, well in line, like proper. But I just don't know.
These are all of the.
They're all young though, because a lot of them are young, aren't they? That's the thing. And because Romero's young, I feel like that doesn't really complement him.
Romero isn't that young though, is he? He's 24.
No,
A lot of his mistakes he shouldn't be doing at 24.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not trying to make excuses for his mistakes, but I'm just saying that if you want someone to complement him, I feel like they need to be a little bit more of an experienced player. Is all I would say.
Do you think there's any chance of us getting this guy, Nico Schlotterbeck? Let me know in the chat, guys. Nico Schlotterbeck, do you think we could draw him away from Borussia Dortmund?
No.
Schlotterbeck's a good player. He's another defender that I like. 6 million tall, likes a header.
Oh, you like them tall, do you?
I like them tall and beastly. I like someone that puts their head on the ball.
I like them tall as well and beastly. Don't worry.
Nico Schlotterbeck for me is an absolute beast. I don't think we'll get him right. As you go down the list, this is the most valued left-footed, left-sided centre backs in world football. Mark Cucurella is obviously in there because he can play on the left side, but he's more of a left wing back. Kimpembe's not coming to us. Luke Shaw's not coming to us. Ake's not coming to us. And, I don't think so. And Dicker's just moved. Aguerd from West Ham, never going to happen. Aymeric Laporte. Mandava. Reinildo Mandava's a good player. Tyrone Mings isn't going to happen. Inacio from Sporting. We've got a relationship. He's a very, very, very talented. He's only 21 years old.
But again, is that going to complement Romero? That's
we need someone with experience, I think.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be someone a bit.
What you've got to look at though, Mia and Ben, is last year with Romero, where he was making a lot of mistakes. I think that was partly because of the pressure, because there was no help for him. I mean, you look at it when he's playing with Porto. Porto's not defensive, so he's kind of left open a bit. You've got Dyer alongside you, and then you've got Longley or Davis, who have both had shit seasons last year. He's having to try and defend for 3 players almost, and you could see that his head was just going. If you watch him in Argentina and that, he's not that type of player.
It's because he's got someone he's afraid of next to him.
It's not so much he's got somebody afraid of. He's got somebody that he can rely on. I think that's the difference.
But Otamendi isn't a good player though at the moment. He used to be a very good player, but Otamendi he's not a great at the moment, which is why he's at Benfica of all teams rather than a Manchester City or one of the other big teams he's been at. But he keeps him in line. He goes up to him and says, "If you F up, I'm going to drag you outside," or in Jacob's words, "I'm going to drag you to the library. I'm going to kick your ass." That's
Cambridge to be
could
specific.
the defensive midfielder though? Can the DM
we need a defensive midfielder as well. That would help as well.
I don't think there is a perfect left-footed, left-sided centre-back to come in that can keep him calm, apart from Laporte, that can keep him calm and do all of his own skill set that you need, that can also play the high line, can be great in the air, be fast enough, can progress the ball, can pass. All the things you need, right? There's very few perfect players. Edmund Tapsoba ticks all the boxes for me physically. I think he's absolutely superb. But he's a right-footed, left-sided centre-back. Depends how much of a priority you place on the ambipedal. I tried to use the word ambidextrous, but I was corrected in one of my videos that it's ambipedal for being multi-talented of both feet. what I would say though is that if you can't get someone who can tick all those boxes to keep Romero calm, then you go for everything else in the player. Someone like a Lukeba, someone like a Hincapia, someone who can tick all the other boxes, and then you just ask the number 6. You go and find that monster number 6 who sits just in front of them, who's constantly communicating with Romero. Or you get someone who's playing on the right back. If it's not going to be Emerson and we're repositioning Pedro Porro, I mean, there's an argument, guys, that we might need a second right back. Like, I don't think Jed Spence is it. And we'll move the conversation forward now to that. Let's move in that direction. If Jed Spence isn't it, in my opinion, I don't know if you feel the same, then you loan him out again. If we're not going to use Pedro Porro in the back 4 because he can't defend for Toffee, and you ask him to be the guy who's interchanging with Decky, then Tottenham needs to go and get a right back. And if so, could that be the person that keeps Romero calm? I'll come to. I'll go on, Ben. I'll let you go first, mate.
I mean, there's another player at Manchester City we could offer money, but he wouldn't come to the top of them, and that's Kyle Walker. I think Kyle Walker would be a brilliant foil for Romero. Lots of experience, pacey, so that takes up decent in the air. The problem is, would he come to Tottenham again? He's 33 years of age. He might want to see the end of his career out and go to Bayern Munich, which is what me and Perch and Mia were talking about earlier on Perch's channel. But that was an option. I'd still have Kyle Walker over Emerson, and I quite like Emerson at this moment. As a defender, he's all right. As going forward, he's awful, but he can defend. So we've got what we really need to do is we need to discover what they found out in Dragon Ball Z, which is fusion, and we need to fuse Pedro Porro and Emerson together, and then we've got a good footballer. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. If we put them together, that's a good footballer.
I mean, that's the thing. You know, if we play a back 4, then I see Emerson having a role to play. If we play in that right back that's got to attack, Emerson's not the player. If we need an attacking right back that's going to defend, Porro's not your player.
No, Reguilon is an interesting shout though, because Reguilon coming back from loan, he was a very decent player when he was left back under Jose's system, but didn't work under a Conte system.
Well, no, I mean the problem with Reguilon though was his attitude.
Your pacey defender coming up.
Yeah,
whether injuries.
The problem with Reguilon was if the goal's wide open in front of him and he hits it with his left foot, it's going way over the net.
That's another thing.
Didn't he like to go partying? So, that was why Conte and that didn't want Reguilon about. But I'd quite happily take Reguilon back.
Well, the reason he didn't like Reguilon was always late for training, and that doesn't sit well with Conte. If you're 1 minute late for training, you're out. Yeah. Unless you've got a real reason.
That's what I say, attitude and that, yeah.
He likes play. That's the reason he fell out with Reguilon. But as a player, Reguilon isn't bad. He's still not that old. He's
all energy, Ben. I think you're remembering the fondness of him more than like his actual performances. In my opinion, I remember being happy when I first saw him because he wasn't Ben Davies at left back. But like after a while, that wore pretty thin because seeing him playing like a chicken with no head, just running around. No ball control, no shot presence, couldn't cross the ball decent. I don't know what he offers.
Jacob,
other than pace.
His crosses were great.
Jacob, take Kane out of the scenario. You name me one player that had a good season under Conte last year.
I'm sorry, I was watching what he was pulling up. I saw Reguilon's mole.
I'll just bear with us on that question there Soren, because whilst we're talking about Reggie. So Takvim, I'm guessing that's Turkish media, and we always take Turkish media with a little pinch of salt on this channel because they have mentioned 2 players that Tottenham have already agreed terms with, the Galatasaray goalkeeper, the Besiktas goalkeeper, and that was back in April, but nothing's materialised on it, and also we don't know about Victor Nelson yet, but Takvim is saying that Galatasaray hold an interest in signing Tottenham left back Serge Reguilon. Ange Postecoglou is expected to oversee a mass clear out of Tottenham this summer as he goes about reshaping the squad ahead of the Spaniard has endured a series of injury problems over the last 18 months that have set his career back considerably, and he's coming off a season on loan at Atletico Madrid, where he played just a total of 317
What
minutes.
A man. What a guy.
What a guy.
Is that
what a guy.
Holy shit. That's mad. Factor
And
now
Tony
claimed
still
that
played more
Galatasaray are
minutes
keen to
than
strengthen at
Sessegnon,
left
mate.
back
Yeah,
before
but-
the start of the new season and have identified Reguilon as one of their options.
Did he
Is
not
there
have
any-
a few injuries though last year?
Yeah, he's been injured for a lot.
Yeah.
So who played more minutes, Reguilon or Sessegnon? That's an actual
Reguilon.
question.
They're both not good enough.
They're both not good enough. But I mean, I'd still rather Reguilon than Sessegnon. Any day, if you gave me the choice of next year, you get to keep one of them, Reguilon or Sessegnon, I'm throwing Sessegnon straight out the door.
Well,
Yeah,
let's look at it this way though. If for a team that needs so many players to come in, do we really want to create another problem for ourselves? If we're looking to sell Dyer and we're looking to not have Reguilon back, that leaves Sessegnon and Udogie. Sessegnon needs to go because of his injury problems. We can't keep him. Well, and his shit, but forget that. You know, his injury problems haven't helped him along with that. So that would only leave Udogie in defence on the left-hand side for us if we get rid of Davis as well. So therefore, we've got.
I don't think we're getting rid of Ben Davies. Ben Davies is. I think Ben Davies is 100%
I think
staying.
he's staying.
Yeah,
Ben
I think
Davies
he's
was
staying.
Ben Davies was
Unfortunately.
It's
Out of
already
all
been
the said
that
word,
we're
Ben
quite happy
Davies
to
is-
sell him.
One at
I
a
mean,
time,
don't
though.
get me wrong. You know, I like Davis as that left-hand side player as a backup. But if we are gonna look at selling him and we are gonna look at letting Sessegnon go, we've got to either keep Reguilon or have another left-sided player to come in. Which we're not going to get all these new players in. So we've got to start thinking one of those, whether it's Davis or Sessegnon, has got to stay. Or both
Yeah,
of them.
I'd rather Davies say. Sessegnon, I heard he can't stay in the bath too long because otherwise he'll fall to bits because he's flipping made of cereal, like
That's the
cornflakes,
problem,
man.
mate.
Charms.
I thought it was
Without
tissue
that.
paper. It's just like
Yeah.
mush
No,
up the
Fruit
bottom.
Loops.
He's had
Big up
Fruit
Fruit
Loops.
What about the idea, guys, of doing a straight swap with Galatasaray? If we're gonna, I personally think that you got Ben Kaufman. I'm putting Ben Kaufman.
I'm certainly not a Galatasaray.
I'm putting Ben
shortly.
Kaufman's link in the chat for everyone, guys. I'm putting everyone else's links in again in a second. Smash the subscribe to all the guys on here. If we're going to put Ben Davies and Udogie as our two left backs, which I'd be okay with for this part of the rebuild, then you get rid of Sessegnon to whoever wants that paper cup, and you also sell Reguilon for whoever wants that paper cup. And if Galatasaray want him, then do we do a straight swap for Victor Nelson?
Nelson, yeah.
Yeah.
I want rid of Davis for one reason. I want all of the leadership council, whatever the hell that is, at this club. I want them all out. Because those are the players that have thrown manager after manager after manager under the bus. And they've got all the reason to do it. I want Højbjerg out, as much as I quite like Højbjerg as a player, but I think he runs through treacle. I want him out the door. He's not good enough for this current system. I want Dyer out. He's not good enough for any system. I want Davis out. He's not good enough for any system. All of the people that are considered the leadership group, I want them out. They've been here for 10 years almost, a lot of them. Davis and Dyer have been here for 10 years. They've not been good enough. They need to go.
Yeah. I think out of all those,
New leaders in that dressing room, new people.
yeah, but
at the
you've
top
got to
that
kind of,
food
you know,
chain.
you've got to still have somebody in there. And I mean, I would certainly get rid of Dyer. I think he's the number one that has to go.
I love that. When I go out and I talk to my wife and I'm like, why do you love me, honey? I need someone here.
Well,
Thank
yeah.
you, baby.
That's what
Thank you,
I
baby.
heard. That's what I heard. She said anyway, Jacob.
That's what she said this morning. Yeah. Happy Father's Day. At least you're here.
I think Davis is a good shout to be kept, personally.
I do think this summer we're not getting rid of everyone. I agree with Ben that I think if you've been here for 4 more years and your name's not Harry Kane or Heung-min Son, you need to go. That's
you
how I
can't do it all
feel.
in
But
one window.
yeah, exactly. So like realistically looking at it, if I had to choose someone from the bunkheads committee of Eric Dyer, Davies, all them, I would pick Davies because at least you'll know what you're getting from him.
Yeah.
A 5 to a 6 performance every time, nothing more, nothing less. Just he's there. You know, and sometimes that's a good attribute, I suppose. But if we're clearing out house, you can't do it all at once. And I think that realistically, you got to have someone. And I agree, there's someone as bad as it is of a thing like when we say Skip. Oh, let's keep Skip around because he's a homegrown quota. When your first attribute why someone's keeping you around is because you fill a quota or you're a warm body. those are red flags to me. But realistically, we're in this position already. We can't get rid of everybody. So keep Davies. Definitely get rid of Dyer, though. Definitely get rid of Dyer. There's no reason he should be here.
Me and Sean had that conversation. Do you remember when you come on my channel and I said Ben Davies is vanilla, isn't he? He's nothing special. He's there. He's all right. If you can't, we've got another ice cream in the fridge. You're going to eat the vanilla if you really want something sweet and cold to eat, right? So he's just
and I told you at the time that vanilla is my favourite ice cream flavour anyway.
Davies vanilla is like
shame.
It's like Tesco vanilla. It's not like It's not like Rossi's Embarkingside vanilla, which is thick and creamy and delicious. It's like Tesco's vanilla bean.
I don't think Ben Davies is that. I think
ice cream.
I think you're being overly harsh on Ben Davies.
Yeah,
I think he does a solid job. Well. I think he's the least of our. Yeah, we go. Jazz Jones is saying the same thing.
Yeah,
I think he's the least of our worries. Look, in an ideal world, over the next 3 windows, we'll trade out a lot of these players. But right now, we've got so much to do in other positions. I agree with it. Everyone's saying Rodon, Sanchez, Dyer out of the club. I personally don't particularly want Longley back, but I think that it makes sense to some degree economically, even though who my favourite cheaper option is out in the market, and that is Hiroki Ito from Stuttgart. I think that guy has got such a high ceiling. I think he's excellent.
But Sean, once we sign Longley, they're going to say, "Oh, well, center back, check. We did that." They all said we need a center back, check. We got one. To me, the Longley thing is lazy.
Longley you have to figure out right. That's how bad Longley is.
I don't think Longley does a lot of the things, mate. That a lot of these centre backs. If you look at the stats, a lot of these centre backs have the same talents. When you're a left-footed, left-sided centre back that plays either in a high line or in the middle of on the left of a back three, they're all tasked with running the ball out, progressive carries, and with passing. And Longley does a lot of that stuff very, very well. The problem with Longley is that when you play on the left of a back three and you're up against a tricky inside forward who's on the right, especially one that's an inversion, and you saw what happened with Marcus Edwards at Sporting. He absolutely tore Longley a new one, and it happened time and time again. It happened when Manchester United did it with Anthony. He absolutely tore him a new one. Everyone that's got a tricky inside forward, if you're playing with a low line back three, the left-sided centre-back has to be able to turn quick and has to have a high pace to get back, and Longley doesn't have it. And it's even more of an exposure when you're playing in a high line back four for different reasons. Not because you're going to get dribbled at as much, but because you're going to get the ball put over the top. And he hasn't got a good enough acceleration, and he certainly hasn't got a good enough top speed to get back the amount of time that's going to happen. So I'm not on board Longley particularly. I'd rather have Ito. But to the point I was making, Jacob, if you only got 150 million, you can't spend 25 million on 7 players. You're not going to level up. Right, you need to go and spend 3 or 4 of those players need to be 50 million players, 40 or 50 million pound players, and then you have to make up the difference buying a little bit cheaper elsewhere. And I think Clement Longley, the only reason it makes sense is economics.
I think what you've got to think of though, this team needs a spine. We need the goalkeeper, a top class goalkeeper. We need a top class centre back, and we need somebody in the middle of the park that's top class. They're the 3 players that we should be spending the money on. And then, like you say, Sean, we go for people that are going to slot in where we need them. Either a couple of free transfers or a couple of older players maybe coming, or younger players that are about to either come in or go off, but are going to be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget, when we had Poch, we didn't do it all in one go. We did give him that time to be able to get rid of players. Like, I'm not saying for a minute that we need to get rid of but we have got a lot of low knees coming back. So that also is a big thing that needs to be sorted. And we can also get a bit of money. So if we sell a Højbjerg and a Celso, that's a bit of money, isn't it? That we can use to add to the pot.
Mia.
That we can add to the pot, not that we can use it just for that, because we should have money for those players anyway, but we can add to the pot and maybe buy those other players that aren't maybe a lot of money, and we're going to have that because we are going to be able to sell a few of our players, even if it's a bit here and a bit there. It all adds up, doesn't it? Every little helps, as they say.
It's what we've been talking about, Mia, on other shows. I would be accepting low money. Let's say we sell Dyer for 10 million. I don't think we're going to sell Dyer because Levy loves him too much. Sell Dyer for 10 million. Sell Højbjerg for 25 million. Just get him out the door. 25 million. The Celso for 25 million. That's the 60 million pounds raised already that you can buy a player with and reinvest into the club. We've got plenty of players we can sell. We could sell Tanganga for 10 million quid because of his homegrown. We could sell him for 10 million pounds for an English team. whether they be a low-level Premier League team or a Championship team if they've got the money. We can get little bits of money, but the problem is we never accept enough money. We can get 5 million for Harry Winks, I think. I think you can get 5 million for Harry Winks just because he's homegrown. He'd do well in the Championship, probably. He's a
does he want to go there, though?
He's
a lot of people asking for...
He got relegated with a poor Sampdoria team, and he was awful in that team.
How long's Winks got left on his contract? 'Cause if not, if all the ones that haven't got long left on their contract and they don't want to go, rip up their contracts. I think that would be worth the money. Some of them. So see that money we get from a Højbjerg and that. If those players don't want to go, I think we should use that money to rip up some of their contracts if they're not long contracts. Because I feel like that's something
easy. It's not always that. It's not just a case of saying, right, we're going to rip your contract up.
Well,
you've got to pay them off.
Yeah, you've got to pay them off. Yeah, no, that's but what I just said was that money that we raised.
Look at it another way then. Instead of paying them off and giving them all the money, just keep sending them out on loan and getting a little bit of money back for them.
The problem with that is you only have 8 spots.
Players, though, their wages are so high. But paying their wages as well.
But you do the ones. But you do it the way. But it's cheaper than ripping the contracts up. But you get rid of the ones that we can get rid of, and the ones that we can't get rid of, send them out on a loan. If you get £1 million,
I have to go back to what Sean said. Go to Ndombele and say, "Here's 10 million, half of what you asked," and then get out and find the club. But he's not going to save money that way. You just need to get someone like Ndombele out.
There's conversations that you can have, but it's never like until you understand that, like the contracts themselves are all going to have unique clauses and things in it, so it's not as easy. I just want to, because everyone's asking in the chat about Facundo Medina from Lens, Argentinian 24-year-old, and this is I think another perfect example of what is good about stats, but also what is, unless you understand the specificities of the Lens or Lens, I'm not sure how you say their team name, of their tactics. And I'll be honest, I don't know what sort of football they play, but this is like how stats can be potentially misleading, or it could be a wonderful insight. So let's just let's look at this stuff here, right? So it comes across to me as a left-sided centre-back. If you're up there with your XGs, your XAGs, in the top 93rd percentile, he looks immediately to me like a player who is tasked with being the guy who carries the ball out and being the creator in chief from the back. That you would usually mean to me that maybe the number 6 or one of the number 8s doesn't necessarily have that role, and that Lens may play with the back 3. I don't know. If anyone in the chat can let me know if they do play with the back 3 or they don't, I'll find out. But progressive carries, wonderful stat. There's no one better in the top 5 leagues that does that. Progressive passes, number 1 in the top 5 leagues. In terms of goals per 90, he scores a goal every 18 games as a centre back. Passes complete. I mean, look at this. Like in terms of on the ball stuff, he's in the 99th percentile for so much stuff. He looks like an amazing ball playing centre back. But
how many games
here's the problem. How many games has he played?
Yeah.
32 games, 2,800 minutes. I don't look at matches played. I look at minutes. If you're over 2,000, that's a good enough sample size for me. 2 goals, there you go, 4 assists. He looks to me like he is a real ball-playing centre-back. And he looks sensational. However, then you look at the defensive side of things. He's in the bottom 13 percentile, but that's only because he only makes 1 tackle per game. Why is that? Is that because he's positionally caught out all the time? When Lens goes and when they maybe get transitioned, he comes back. In terms of tackle, for every one that he actually attempts, he misses 2 out. Sorry, he gets 2 out of 3, so he misses 1 in every 3 tackles. That's in the bottom 18 percentile. Where's he making the tackles? He's making the majority of them in the midfield third. So that to me suggests that Lens either played with a really high line, or that on the transition he's the one trying to make that recovery. But you see my point, right? Blocks, shot blocks. There's nothing in this, interceptions, there's nothing in this that tells me whether he's any good or not at the things that are important defensively, which is what we need. In terms of the stuff on the ball, he's up there, 73.77 carries per 90. What the hell stat is that? Every time he gets the ball. So he touches the ball 88 times per 90. So everything goes through him. Yeah. Clearly, absolutely everything goes through him as for Lens. And every time he gets the ball, he moves the ball out with himself, right? 467 meters per 90. Like, this guy is not really a left-sided centre-back. He's obviously more of a midfielder that's playing in that role. I was going to say. Right, but like, what do we know about him as a midfielder?
He can't defend.
What's that?
He's a brilliant midfielder, but he can't defend.
Well, I'm not saying he can't defend. It just looks like he doesn't defend. There you go. Len's play with a 3-4-3, so they're perfect. Right, so it's a back three, as I thought it would be. It's not that he's crap defensively, 24Z. It just looks like the stats are massively low. So this is where, this is what Brighton and Brentford do. You know, there's always this argument, like, what's more important, the stats, like the seeing eye test or the stats? The way I do it, I like to look at a player generally and make my opinion or try and shape an opinion about what I've seen. And then I'll go, I like him or I don't. I'm going to go and check out more. And then I'll go and use the stats to see if it supports my opinion. What Brighton do and what Brentford do, for example, and what a lot of these people that use data science to do, they'll know the team that they're working with. They'll know the players they're trying to find. They'll use the Y-Scout or whatever tools they use to look, and they'll find the data, and then they'll transition and go and check the seeing eye test. To me, the gap in my knowledge here is, like, I've heard, just like everybody else is, how great he is, but I've got absolutely no idea if he's a good defender, and the stats don't really tell you. All the stats say is that he's phenomenal with the ball at his feet, but until you go and check out what he's like defensively, I can't really make a claim on that.
It just makes me feel really old-fashioned, because I just want a defender that loves to defend. I'd love a player like a Lewis Dunk, a Jonathan Woodgate, just a defender that does one thing, which is defend. That they have pride in their defending. Football has gotten so that the people looking at defenders, that how good they are at passing a ball. I want my defenders to be able to defend, and we've got defenders that cannot defend. We've got most of them cannot defend. We've got one good defender at the club, and he's a lunatic. And we need just a Lewis Dunk type player. That's who I want. Someone that loves to defend. When the ball is in a difficult position, he doesn't just put his foot in, he throws his entire body. That's what we need. Just a proper defender. And until we get one of those in a proper spine, we're not going to be anywhere, because we're not looking at defenders. We're looking at midfielders that play slightly back.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. I know, Soren, you got to drop off the channel, right? Thanks so much for coming on, mate. Anything coming up from you? Anything we need to know about?
No, I think just coming on shows like for you, I think that's enough for all the people watching. Too much of me is not good, but just want to say that thus far in this window, the transfer window is an 8 out of 10. And on that, go on you Spurs.
Go on you Spurs. Cheers, Soren. Appreciate you, mate. See you soon, buddy.
See you, Soren.
See ya.
Big up.
Yeah, appreciate Soren. Guys, keep smashing the like button for me. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. There's still nearly 500 of you in the house. It's amazing to have you so far. I'm going to keep putting the links in for Mia, for Jacob, and for Ben in a second. Where are we at to on the likes? I think we must be near. We're on 362. Can we get to 400? We're 38 away from 400. But I want to move the conversation forward, guys, and really appreciate everyone in the chat, by the way. The chat's been locked in on this conversation tonight. They've been firing all the answers back. Let's talk a little bit about Porto winger Pepe. I don't know if you guys are too familiar with this guy. Do I get my link up? Where's my link? Did we talk about him already? I forget. I don't think we did.
You said he's got glue on his foot.
Yeah.
Whether that's breaking FIFA regulations, I don't know, Shawnee. But
I want everybody. Not
what
yet.
What brand of glue does he use? Does he use glue? Does he use Tesco own brand? Is it Gorilla Glue?
No, it's Gorilla. I think this guy.
Gorilla's brilliant.
I need to know what glue he uses.
Gorilla
I want everybody to.
Fantastic, man. You can use it for anything.
Yeah.
In the comment section.
That tape is always good.
I want you guys all after this stream to go and check out Pepe from Porto and tell me if you've seen another player who can. Huh?
From Brazil.
Yeah, from Brazil. Tell me if you've seen another player who is that press resistant, who can drag the ball from one side of his body to the. I'm sure I've said this before. I think we talked about Pepe. I can't remember. My short-term memory is awful, but I swear to God, Mia, that me and Soren spoke about this before you came on. So I'm gonna move on and talk about the next guy on my list. Who is it? It is Alex Scott. We have been linked tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with Alex Scott. £20 million is the asking price from Bristol City. You know, a lot of people might have seen highlights of him here and there, but a lot of people have also maybe remembered him if they watched the FA Cup game against Manchester City, where he was absolutely incredible, I thought, on the day. He can play in the attacking midfielder role in the 10. He can play out on the left. He's been playing on the right. Walter Boberg is saying he's at 25 million is what they want for him. Okay, 25 million. Look, for me, he's a Tottenham fan as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Adam Phillips saying they wanted 30. What is it? 25,
Yeah,
30, 35?
I saw more 30 than I did anything
30
else.
million. Let's start before we get into the feasibility. He's a Tottenham fan, and Bristol will absolutely sell him at some point. Yeah. I personally, what I would do if I was Daniel Levy, I would say, here's 15, right? Guaranteed 15, and we'll spread it over 2 years or whatever. But then we'll pay up to 35 or 40, depending on some like different levels of achievements. Like they'll make up the first 5 million that pretty easy if he plays 10 games this year or whatever. But then the last 10 million of that potential 40 million pound would be dependent on him hitting some ridiculously impressive metrics, which if he does, then it's worth every penny. Like if he plays every game, or if we qualify or he scores 10 goals or whatever, then he's immediately worth paying that extra 10 million for. Try and structure the deal creatively so that we can still maintain our budget, but get him in if you like him enough. Like, I think he's a very talented player. Jacob, do you know much about Alex Scott?
I've really only been hearing about him for the past 2 weeks. I did watch that Bristol City FA Cup versus City, but maybe I must have missed the guy. Maybe he just looks too vanilla for me. I don't know. I don't know the kid enough. I only know what I can look up and what I've heard from others speak. So I don't feel like my opinion is one to be too valued too highly on the guy. I mean, 19 years old midfielder. I've heard a lot of people rooting and raving about him. I hesitate though whenever Spurs fans are all chatting up a certain player and it's like, I've never heard of him, and then all of a sudden I keep hearing about him over and over and over, and then all of a sudden these links that, we're linked with him. I think sometimes maybe that stuff could just be PR. I don't know what the source is. Who linked us?
I think it came from the guy at Sky. I think I've got it. I might have it in my images.
I mean, if 100 people tell me a good thing about you, I'm tend to believe that there's something good about you.
Yeah.
And I've only heard good things about him, that he's young.
Ali Gold. Ali Gold said Tottenham have asked to be kept apprised of the situation with Bristol City starter Alex Scott, who turns 20 this summer. The Championship club are believed to want a fee in the region of £20 million. That's according to Ali Gold, but people in the chat are saying
I would buy him.
30 million.
I would buy him and Maddison, and that's your main centre attacking midfielder, and that's your backup for the next couple of years. And we've also got Alfie Devine as well. He's a Tottenham
Ben,
boy.
how much have you watched this guy?
I've watched him a bit, but the people I know that have followed him rave about this kid, just like they rave about Alfie Devine as well. I think this kid has got it. From the people that I know.
I said, I've seen him one game, maybe two. I've caught maybe 2 Bristol matches outside of Tottenham matches, so I don't know much. That's why I'm genuinely curious. From people who have watched him.
He's going to be a really good player, mate. He's going to be
a good player.
He's fast, he's technical, he's talented. Like
24Z says, reminds me of Grealish. Okay,
yeah, I was going to say that.
Cool.
That's a good.
I'm all for it. Like I said, 100 people. Sorry, Mia. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think as well, we were linked with him before. We've been keeping an eye on him from before, from what I remember. But yeah, I've not seen loads of him, but from what I've seen of him, he is very good, and he's got really good potential, I think, personally.
Would you be satisfied with our midfield / attacking options from Transfer Business? Let me know in the chat as well, guys, if you feel the same. If we were to get someone like James Maddison and Alex Scott, would that be a satisfactory window for you guys in the chat? If they were the 2 options and we kept Harry Kane, and that would mean obviously we then give up the chases for people like Gonçalves from Porto, the likes of Kudos. Not that we've been linked with him. I'd love to see that guy coming in.
That'd be nice. Yeah,
that'd be so
Ajax.
Good. Ajax, yeah, 100%.
Good kid.
Hang on, let me get this last link up and then I'll move the conversation forward again.
Yeah,
Ben's channel.
I wouldn't want to get Maddison, but if that's who Postecoglou wants, then so be it. If I would be happy enough if that's who he wanted.
Doesn't he also only have 12 months left in his contract, and we're talking about spending 50 on him?
Who?
Madison.
Yeah,
why not go get Ezzy? You could get Ezzy for cheaper. He's got a 45 million release clause.
How that I didn't know that. See,
Yeah,
What's that? Has he got a what release clause?
a 45 million release clause.
Has he?
That's what I heard.
someone else
45 mil release. So
45
that's what I'm saying. If they're
million.
asking
Oh, let me
50,
look.
60 for James Madison for 12 months on his
Get
contract,
Eze, man.
get
Hang
Eze.
on.
He's got the
Eze.
right attitude. He's the right kind of guy. Anytime there's a video, anything with this kid, it's always smiles, good vibes, hugs, just a
Yeah.
great guy. Kind of guy you want at your club.
That's what
I
I
rate
said.
that.
Joe, what Jacob? I said the exact same thing earlier when you weren't on. I said that boy hasn't got a chip on his shoulder. Where James Madden, for me, he's got a chip on his shoulder. Something about his attitude, I don't like. There's something about his body language. I've always said I'm not particularly.
He already said fuck
fond of.
Tottenham too, so I don't want someone
and
like
so
that.
I know he was young at the time, but still, Eze for me has got all the attributes and a higher ceiling as well. I feel like he's
And the
got a
head
higher
on his
ceiling.
shoulders too.
Yeah,
like-
no, Eze's a
Problem
very
is, he'll be
young
80 million,
guy.
guys. He'll be 80
No,
million.
apparently he's got a 45 million release clause. as well.
Yeah,
No,
as-
hang on. No, you're getting confused with Elise, who's got a 35 million pound release clause.
Get
Eze's
Elise.
80 million. They
Get
won't
Elise.
expect a dime less than 80 million.
As he doesn't have a 40, I thought it was like 45 or 48 million release
I can't
clause.
see anything regarding his release clause, but I can
I heard
find
it
one
on
for
YouTube.
Elise.
Cantab saying source. I heard it. I swear I heard it on one of the big channels with like
Trust me, bro.
30,000. Yeah, source. Trust me, bro. Source.
Yeah.
I'm your source. There you go. How about that?
I
Don't
hear
trust
this
me.
a lot about Maddison, but in the last 3 years, he's the second best English player creatively in scoring goals after Harry Kane. That's the player I want in my team. Forget that he got relegated. He had a terrible
Who?
team
Who do you
behind
want?
him.
But it's about, do you know what though? It's about having the right attitude, because we always say about the way people fit into teams and the way that you are. And I think that does matter. And I think if Madison has got a bad attitude and he disrupts the team, is that what you want? I don't think that's going to do very well with the team either, because players won't want to, they'll be a bit,
I think he's too good a player. He's a very, very good footballer. And it, like Jacob said, he might have said, fuck it. He's a Coventry fan. Coventry fans don't like Tottenham. It's a long V. He supports Coventry.
QPR
So,
also get a
like
20%.
Tottenham.
QPR get a 20% sell-on clause if Eze leaves.
Eze is a quality. I'd love to have Eze, but do we have 80 million for one? Let's say we've only got.
I don't think it's going to be 80
That's
million.
most of your money.
He's got what, 2 years left of his contract. I don't think he's going to be 80 million. Do you know that? I
He
really
will
don't.
be 80 million.
He's
That's
valued
what-
at 37.
37
According to
million.
them.
He's
Won't be 80
valued
million.
at. It won't be 80
That's
million.
what the
Probably
money
50.
is quoted
I would
in
say
all
probably
papers.
about 50 if this release clause, my source is not right, which shout out at whoever the fuck at Twitter. That's my source. My reliable
We
source.
like that guy. We're getting him more and more subscribers every day.
Hey, I plug him because he provides me with the source information that I need, i.e. Ezzy. I'm just going to operate under the assumption that
I'd
he's
love to
got
have them
45
both.
million release clause.
It's not. Eze is a right-sided player, and we've spoken about this, Mia. We need a central player, and that's James Madison.
Eze can play through the middle, mate. I think
He can play.
Eze can play. Eze's through the middle.
He
Yeah.
can. He mostly plays off the right. We need a player that plays in the middle. And that's
No,
James
he didn't play for Vieira. Benched him because Vieira, I think, was playing him on the left. And then when Hodgson came in, he played him centrally, and then he started bagging goal. You couldn't stop the man from
Yeah,
scoring.
no, I think you're confusing him with Elise, mate. Elise's the guy who plays on the right. Eze's a straight up central mid.
So what we're saying is we need both Eze and Elise, so we don't confuse the two of them.
I love Elise.
Elise's nice, too.
Absolutely
Not like
love
the kind of
Elise.
dreadlock stuff.
His are a little bit longer.
By the way,
Elise's
I
are
want all
longer
three of
than
them. I want
Ezzy's.
Eze, I want Elise, and I want Madison. They're three quality footballers that would they would root out, except for Sonny. They would get rid of all of our players. I'd have Eze over Kulusevski. I'd have Elise over Kulusevski. They are quality. It's just whether they would come to Tottenham without Europe for the money we would pay for him, which.
Well, Crystal Palace aren't in Europe, are they? So like,
No,
I don't think-
but someone like an Arsenal's going to want an Eze or an Elise. A team like Manchester City.
Elise's not it yet. Elise's a good player.
He's gonna
but
be
very
there.
one-dimensional.
And that's what Tottenham needs to do, though, Sean. We need to buy players before they're it. We cannot buy players in their pomp anymore because we haven't got Champions League football. We're not willing to pay the higher wages. We need to get players before they hit that.
If we're going to get someone on the right hand side, I don't think we are anymore personally. But if we are going to get someone on the right hand side, for me, I've been banging this boy's drum all year, all last season. I love him. I think he's going to be an absolute superstar. Andreas Skov Olsen. I think that guy at Bruges is extraordinarily talented.
Or Tajon Buchanan as well from Bruges. As another quality.
Buchanan's cool as well. Buchanan's cool as well.
He's very fast. I like it. But unfortunately, he's going to take an L today when USA plays Canada later in the CONCACAF Nations League final in Las Vegas today. So sorry.
No reason I was repping Canada.
Because they're going to take a fat. Actually, I kind of hope US loses because we hired Greg Berhalter. Which, side note, he kicks women. So that's what we do. I kind of hope we lose because of that.
Guys, I want to move the conversation forward to one of the last couple of things to talk about this evening. Oh, there's actually 3 or 4 more things I forgot to talk about. Pedro Porro. I don't know how much time we got to spend on this one, but there are links for Fajejis, the Portuguese press that says that Pedro Porro, they haven't mentioned whether he's happy or unhappy, but they're saying that there might be an out for him immediately to go to Barcelona. Barcelona are interested in him. Mia, I'll come to you on this one. Do you think... I don't think there's any truth in this. I think Pedro Porro, I think he's happy. I think he wants to settle in and figure it out. However, don't necessarily know where he fits in a high line back four. What are your thoughts on Porro?
We could move him further forward and use him more of a winger. And I do think there's a place for him because his ability, when he kicks those balls, the preciseness of his balls are just brilliant. Like, we can't lose that because I feel like that would be a massive loss. And we need to find a way to use him because the way that he's able to like I say, precisely kick the ball, I think he's very good. He's got a lot of skill, and I think it would be a shame if we were to lose him. I wouldn't want to lose him. Yeah.
I mean, I think he'll fit right in as a right wing forward. I almost also think he's good enough to play in a variety of different positions. I think he's technically so good. Jacob, what's your thoughts on? Oh, go on, Mia. Sorry, I thought.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, technically, he's just too good, and even we need someone who's a bit more technical on the ball for free kicks and stuff. Man, look like when he has taken a few of those free kicks, he's been brilliant. He really has. So I would keep him.
Jacob, any interest in saying goodbye to Pedro Porro?
Not at all. I think I agree with everything here that y'all are saying. I think he could play a multitude of positions. I personally would look to play him if we're only going 4 at the back, I would look to play him as a right wing. Just because I don't want to see him defend. I think if him and Emerson had a baby, then we might have a pretty good right back that could play the system that I think we're all creaming over. So I don't think defensively he's got it. He looks a shambles. He looks like Bambi on ice when he's trying to defend. I don't like that. But going forward, his crosses into the box are beautiful to watch. They're actually artistic. There's like something spicy on them. I don't know how to explain it. Watching him deliver service into the box, it's a thing of work. So I like him. I think I haven't seen enough of him to completely make my opinion whether I want to see him forever ever. But he showed me enough last season that he's better than a handful of players at those positions that we have. I do not want to see him leave because I would like to see how Ainge could work him in. He has a high motor. He has good attitude, a lot of passion, and Ainge likes those kind of guys that will run and die for the badge. So. Yeah, and he's got speed. That's the thing is if you have heart like Højbjerg, but you don't got the physical attributes to back it up, then it's kind of like we're in a crux right here with that player. But with Porro, I think he's got all the right attributes physically. I think mentally and emotionally he's there as well. Now, if he wants to leave to Barcelona, I wouldn't want to hold him back because I don't want a player here that doesn't want to be here. That's just how I always felt about it. So. Yeah, if he can't defend and he can cross, he's win. Exactly, Ben Elliott. I kind of like him better.
Always learn to defend. A good coach couldn't teach him how to defend.
He's too small for me, though, mate. He's too small. I don't know how you do it with Udogie. Like, unless keep saying this, like you do what Barca did. You do what Bayern Munich did with Nagelsmann. You go a 3-1-5-1 sort of system. And you have Richie and the one at the top, and you let the 5 go across the middle. But that 5 is supported by one of the guys on the fullbacks. So either Udogie on the left does it, and then you have Emerson on the right. Or if you want to switch it up because the team you're playing against supports it, then you go Ben Davies on the left, and you let Porro fling up. But either way, in any event, if you're going to do that, you need someone as competent as Kimmich in the 6, and we don't have it.
We need one of those. We need one of those anyway, surely. Someone that can drop into the back 4 and let the centre back split. That's how I think that's how we'll try and play anyway. But that's
we just don't have that player, mate. We don't. Bissouma ain't good enough yet, in my opinion.
Bissouma doesn't really do that job anyway, though, does he, Sean? He's more of a box-to-box passer.
He's an 8. Yeah, he's an 8. But I think you can't ask Bentancur to do it when he's fully fit. I don't. Pierre Højbjerg, see you later. Time, 25 million to Bayern Munich. Thank you very much. Time to progress up the ladder.
Run through treacle.
Yeah, so I don't think you can do it. Which is back to the point. I just don't think you can have Pedro Porro playing as a right back. I think he's.
To be fair, though, Bentancur, he did do that a little bit for Conte, dropping back and filling in the middle whenever we were pushing out wide. So he can. No, I don't know that I want him to, but
the protection of a third centre back. That's the difference, right? So,
but I'm just saying, I think he could potentially do that, but I don't know. We just got so many damn midfielders that can all do the same shit. We need some diversity in our midfield, I think, whether that is the dropping back kind or the getting forward kind. I need something more and different than what we got, because we have too many carbon copies of each other. I think Skip needs to go. I think Højbjerg needs to go. And we need to really look at who to bring in there.
Do you know what our midfielders remind me of? Know the gif of Spider-Man all pointing at each other? Yeah, that's what it is. That's what our midfielders are, basically.
Well, no, our midfield is a picture of a donut. It's just nothing in the middle. That's the picture of our midfield. There's just nothing there, especially with no Bentancur.
What about this guy? Phil's bringing up this name.
He's lazy,
this guy every
he's a
year.
very decent player. He's a very decent player, but he's lazy.
He could fit that ball. He could fit that 6 role, though, mate. He could fit that 6 role really well.
I did like him at Milan. I'm not gonna lie. He's all right from what I've seen with Barcelona, but he's a good player. I just worry about the engine and the work rate too. Sometimes he kind of. But, maybe that's just me reading too much into body language and stuff. Sometimes he seems like he could get frustrated and not willing to make that extra run. So, I mean, it remains to be seen. If he's motivated, there's no reason why. He's a quality player.
Is lazy. I think he's more languid. I think there's a subtle difference. What I do think, I think he would fit the 6 brilliantly. I also think that João Palhinha from Fulham would fit the 6 brilliantly. He's 6'3". He can pass the ball with both feet. He's competent, his positional astute, his awareness, and that's another thing. Kessié does start for Barca, and they've just won the league. So I don't think he's coming to Tottenham, guys. I can probably bet a couple of Haribo that he's not coming to Tottenham. He's not. I doubt he'll come to Tottenham. But 24Z, I love you, bro, and I know that just like that Andreas Skov Olsen is my guy. I know that Bissouma is your boy. I know he is, and I know
I love Bissouma.
I love Bissouma. I
bought his damn jersey this year. That's how much I love him.
I cannot wait. I think he's going to be like a new signing next year. I'm underwhelmed by Decky, not because I'm not happy he's come in, just that we've already seen him. It doesn't feel like a new signing, even though it kind of is. Making it permanent. But Bissouma is like a new signing for me. Bissouma got injured and he had long COVID. After seeing anyone that I have known that's had long COVID, it kills you for 6 months, and that screams whatever happened to Bissouma. He got COVID because we know he got COVID on the Far East tour. And so it screams that he had long COVID. So this year is when we can really and he played in a system which he doesn't play. He didn't play ever a 2 in midfielder, right?
No,
he played
didn't.
in 3 with Caicedo and the other guy that played it with Bright. I can't remember off the top of my head. But he's a quality player. He's going to be. And when you look how good he was for Brighton, I feel like in the midfield, if free, I think he'd be fantastic. I can't wait to see Bissouma. I think I can't wait to see Bissouma as well. I'm just not entirely convinced on where he fits into it. The only thing Bissouma needs to do is on the 25th minute of games, sometimes he puts in stupid tackles and he gets a yellow card like West Ham. He did it in another game. He does have a rash tackle in him sometimes. But again, I don't blame him. I don't blame Romero for those things. When you're shit defensively, that's just the reality of the situation. That's a real problem. You've got to be smart about it if you want. Not if you're taking Haaland out the game, in my opinion, like we did versus City. Eventually, he did get sent off. But if you notice, Haaland couldn't stop scoring. But who did he not score against? Us. And who took him out in the 17th minute? Romero. I get you, Jacob, but
We didn't have Romero against Leicester. We got pumped 6-1.
So what does that tell you? That he's better than everyone fucking rates him, because everyone says, oh, he's shit, he can't defend, but he's also at fault for the fact we got pummeled by Leicester. I don't understand the rationale.
Okay, I'll tell you the rationale for it is that his rash decision cost us at Leicester.
No, it didn't. There was 11 other players on that pitch. He wasn't sent off.
Can I leave you three in charge for 2 seconds? There's something at my door.
Oh yeah, we're talking about Romero. I can sit here all day.
Yeah, listen, I love, you know how much I love Romero.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big
I
fan
know
of
you
his.
do. Yeah.
I'm a massive fan of his. And
I know you are. But I think it's more about Romero than about his ball play.
It isn't. No, I think he's a great.
Or some sort of ball playing.
Well, yeah. I think it's late enough for me to say that. Yeah, I do think, like I say, he has got. I think he can be a good player, but I think those rash decisions that cost you in other games isn't what a good defender does, and he has to get that out of his game. He really does.
I agree to a certain extent. But I just don't blame him for the Leicester loss because he wasn't available. To me, there was someone else playing. There was big up Phil.
Wrong,
I know Phil Army in here.
At Leicester and 6-1 at Newcastle. Cheers for Adam Phillip. Yeah, but still, we got pumped because we didn't have a proper defender and we were left with Eric Dyer, Japhet Tanganga and Ben Davis at the back. Like, if he'd not done that stupid tackle... That's
not Romero's fault. Is it Romero's fault that we're thin at centre back?
But I loved it when Romero sprinted 50 yards and clattered Hall, and I thought it was
take his fucking ass out, enjoy that golden boot, and enjoy this. Exactly.
In the 90th minute, when we're 1-0 up, you don't do a stupid tackle and get sent off.
Exactly. That's exactly what the point is.
You think, and which is weird because Romero usually.
Hey, we still picked up the dub. I don't really care. We won. Sometimes you got to sacrifice. I understand the sacrifice of battle.
He shouldn't have got sent off. He's got to have a brain sometimes, and a 24-year-old defender should know. Right, see the game out.
A 24-year-old, Ben, at 24, I would not have trusted any of my decision making. I don't know what you're talking about. At 24, he's supposed to be this well-composed person.
But he's a footballer, Jacob, and that is part of his game. It's a bit like saying a 24-year-old Harry Kane didn't score goals because he was 24, so why should he score goals?
I saw that.
But that's not like he's completely not doing his job. To say that the Harry Kane comparison, that would be him not doing his job and then saying that.
But Romero isn't doing his job by keeping his cool and not getting sent off. That isn't what you're supposed to do as defender. You're not supposed to keep getting sent off, right? There's red cards for
other defenders I've seen at 24 don't do that. Like Ledley King never did that at 24. Vertonghen never did that at 24. Alderweireld never did that at 24. Like if you go back, Paolo Maldini would.
Did any of who of them played with Eric Dyer? Who of them played with Højbjerg? Who of them played with Hugo Lloris behind him? Who of them played with Emerson?
I think
Ledley King played with Anthony Gardner and Gary Doherty, Jacob. I don't know. Gary Doherty is not as good as Eric Dyer somehow. He's played with worse defenders.
I'll tell you what it is. Jacob, is that you fiercely defend him, and I'm someone who's like in the middle and can see both sides of the story. But I just
think he gets a lot of unnecessary
sometimes.
Grief. He does sometimes, but you're very fierce and ferocious with it, and it's like a bit over the top defending him when he has done things that you have to admit.
I enjoy watching him play. I enjoy seeing him clatter Hall and take his ass out, and he didn't do anything.
A lot of people, like there's some people who maybe throw too much mud in his direction. Like maybe part of this conversation that we've been having and I've been having on my channel, maybe I'm guilty of it. You know, making out that it's so important to have a player next to him that can babysit him. You know, maybe we're being disrespectful to him as a professional. Maybe he can calm down and be less rash just with training rather than having someone on the pitch. And if that is the case, then maybe you can like broaden your scope on players that can come in as a left-footed, left-sided centre-back who don't have to have the wealth of experience. Maybe Romero being the senior guy and having someone younger will make him step up in that role if given the task of being the leader. Because right now it's Eric Dyer who's doing all the pointing. Maybe Postecoglou could get the best out of Romero by saying, I need you to be the guy here because you're going to have Luke Caber next to you. What I'm getting off the point. Sorry, I'm on a rant. But the point I was going to make was that I think half the fan base go one way with him and never give him any criticism because, look who he's playing next to. When you've got Longley and Dyer and Tanganga, how can you can't criticize him because he's the best we have. And the other half maybe throw a little bit too much mud. There's very few people that are balanced on him.
He's got all the attributes of being a class centre back. that sometimes you need to say, right, 90th minute of the game, we're 1-0 up against Manchester City, the team that's going to win the treble this year. I'm going to behave myself and not put a stupid foot.
What they do, Ben? Did they score? Did they score? Who won that game, Ben?
Very luckily.
Who won that game? No, I'm talking about luck. I'm talking about result. Who won the game?
But this is what we're saying about how much you kind of like me and Sean and Ben are actually being very balanced about him. But you just go way, you know what I mean? Like, you've got to understand.
I'm just telling you my opinion. Who won the game? Who won the game?
But in the next game, because we've got such other rubbish defenders.
By a relegation team, and that's Romero's fault? We got destroyed by a relegation team, but that's Romero's fault.
Yes, because he wasn't
That doesn't make sense to me. How can a team that gets relegated, but one player not being there, Romero, of all those players?
Because actions have consequences. Don't we teach our children? You've got a child. I've got children. We teach our children that actions have consequences. So his action caused the consequence because he wasn't there, as you say, to be that defender that's a good defender, and he knows in his mind surely that our other defenders.
But y'all are saying he's so. But y'all are saying he's so bad at defending and he doesn't do good decision makings. But then when he's not there, it's like his fault because he's not there. I don't understand.
Well, you got support in the chat here.
He's got all the. It's another Romero. He just needs to calm down. He just needs
that's right. He just needs to calm down, man.
If he can calm down, I think he's just a little bit clever.
His passing is brilliant. He's got all the
attributes.
He's got all the attributes of being a class defender. He needs to learn. Like against AC Milan, when we're chasing a goal, you don't sieve someone down and get sent off, and then we lose the game. That you don't do that. You just don't do it. I've never seen another player do that in my 27 years of watching Tottenham. You don't do it.
Yeah.
You don't do it.
Yeah, okay. Well, we definitely need to see him calm down, I think. But there's definitely a world player in there. And listen, Tiff Andy Tahoe is on Jacob's side of this one, saying, I agree with Jacob. If asked to win against Man City, Romero gets sent off. Would you honestly say, no, we need him in the next game? Jacob, I'll let you answer that one. I'm not sure I'm reading that right. Is it? If
he says I agree with Jacob. If asked, quote, to win against City, you get Romero sent off. Would you honestly say no? Don't get him sent off. We need him for the next game, which was Leicester. So
what's the point
to
of
me,
winning one game if you lose the next game?
We shouldn't have lost the second game, Ben. That's my fucking point.
The team's not good enough, so we need him there.
But that's Romero's fault, right? Because he helped us win a game, therefore he missed the next game. I don't understand that rationale.
Thank you for the super chat, Andy.
You are the best player in that defensive unit. People count on you to not do stupid things. Like, for example, if I'm the best barista in my coffee shop, which most of the time I am, if I'm not there to make coffee and someone else is making the coffee, I should be there. You need to be there. If you are the best defender, you've got to prove you're the best defender. And don't do stupid things.
Sometimes to win, to beat the league winners, you got to sacrifice. And you know what?
Manchester United fans crack on at Casemiro for having that loose cannon side to him, or do they blame referees for the inconsistencies? Do they forgive him his madness because of how good he is as a player? And where I'm going with that is, I don't think Romero is at that level yet, where he's at Casemiro's level in the relative positions. But there is a concern. Hang on, Ben, let me finish my point. There is a concern that if you train the aggression out of the player, you lose the player anyway, right? Look what happened with Dele Alli. Once he was told to kind of to sit back a little bit and not be so aggressive, that I'm not sure that was a catalyst for his fall down, but it was certainly something that was coincidental in the timing. I would just say, in defense of Jacob's point, that he shouldn't be criticised because other defenders aren't good enough. To Ben's point, he needs to calm down and not be rash where it's unnecessary. But in the future, if he can level up his game to become the world-class player that he could be, and still... Well, I'd rather him level up his game to be the world-class player he is 90% of the time and suffer the consequences of the aggression that is a necessary part of that development than train the aggression out of it and then limit him as a player to being a solid 7 out, a Ben Davies style player. You know what I mean? I'd rather have the best of him that also takes him.
No, that does make sense. Also, I do want to clarify. There was a comment about it being balanced. Mia, you mentioned balance whenever I was bringing up Romero. I've said and admitted plenty of times he does need to work on his decision making. He can be rash, but I prefer what he does over anyone else on our team. I think he does better at all those things than anyone else on our team.
Of course.
And I just don't. I only defend him because I feel like he has only been here. He just finished his second season. He's had Nuno, he's had Conte, he's had Stellini, he's had Mason, and now he's got Ainge. He's on his 5th manager, and we're critiquing him when there's a guy who's been here 5 times as long. And I think I would look in other people's directions. You're muted, by the way, Mia. I would look in other people's directions before I completely blame Romero, and I don't blame him at all for the Leicester match. You got to make a sacrifice. I'm sorry, I keep harping back to that point.
But you're comparing apples and pears. At the end of the day, nobody is not saying that Dyer isn't any good. Nobody is saying that Dyer is decent. Nobody. I mean, nobody. So to say that is just not comparable, because none of us are saying that, oh, Dyer's great and Romero's not. That's the thing.
You know how much I hate Eric Dyer, Jacob.
No, I know, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's not what I'm comparing, Mia. I think maybe I'm not articulating my point correctly, because I'm not saying that y'all are sitting here defending Dyer. I'm saying there's a whole hell of a lot wrong. If we're going down the list of what's wrong with Tottenham Hotspur, Romero's decision making, his rashness, the red cards, etc., is so fucking low on my list that it is non-existent. And I just think it's weird to me when people are critiquing a man who just finished his 2nd season, about to start his 3rd under the 5th manager,
It's just what I mean. You've heard me many a time, Jacob. Just send all our defenders to the moon. I'd sell all of them.
But the fact is, if he's still on, to me, just because his problem's low on the list, it doesn't mean it's not a problem. It's still on that list, right? That's still something he needs to work on. That doesn't mean he doesn't work on it just because it's lower down on the list.
Yeah. But why are we prioritizing it over everything else?
But we're not prioritizing it.
Why? But everyone's been talking about it. But that's what I'm saying. Everyone has been. It's always Romero this, Romero's not doing that.
The defence is an important aspect of our game, and that's where some of those downfalls are highlighted, because he has done things to be part of that kind of thing where he does make those mistakes. So you've got to, if he's still on that list,
I don't think he gets any more criticism, Mia, than like Eric Dyer by far and away gets the most frequent, consistent criticism. Davinson Sanchez got booed off the pitch.
Yeah.
You know, Davinson Sanchez got booed off the pitch for making a howler. Like when the whole team was playing awful that day. Romero gets a section of the fan base that are critical of a guy because I think maybe
they know he's going to be class.
They know he's good enough, right? It's the same reason why maybe I criticize Sonny more than I do Decky, because I have higher expectations of Sonny because I know how good he is. I feel bad now because if he's been playing with an injury the entire season, I feel bad.
Sean, Sean.
Typical Tottenham, isn't it? I have given him a part 2. Played in
I have given him a really hard time this year. Didn't obviously know he was playing with an injury, but only because he's my favourite player, or was my favourite. He's up there with my top 2 or 3 favourite players, and I expect him to be as excellent as he always is. And I think with Romero, I think a lot of fans look at Romero and think you are the best of what we have, and you know, I think that there's the things that you are making mistakes with, your rashness, it's unnecessary issues where you slide in, like the 4th goal against, who was it when he gave away a penalty at home? Or was it Newcastle? I forget which one it was. When he gave away that ridiculous, he just lumped. Anyway, getting off the point. To me, Romero, I think people just have higher expectations, but it's not to say that Romero gets a harder time than anybody else. I don't think he does. I think Eric Dyer gets a ridiculously hard time.
We've been on this conversation.
Yeah, we are going to move it on. We are going to move it on. There's only one other topic I've got to get to tonight on my list, and that is Nico Jackson. Chelsea have been looking at this guy. He's got a £34 million release clause, 21-year-old striker for Villarreal. I don't know if you guys know too much about this guy, but the pace on him is incredible. His ability to win the ball is like second to none. He comes back, he's really strong, really tough, 2-footed player, but the pace and the acceleration on him. I don't know if Tottenham have got any chance of gazumping him, but the rumours out tonight that I've seen in a few different places are that Tottenham are going to maybe try and gazump Pochettino at Chelsea, pay the £34 million fee. I think he's from Gambia, but he plays for Senegal or something like that. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you have, if you've seen this guy, you know much about him. I think he scored 15, 20 goals for Villarreal this season, and he is a really exciting player. Whether or not we need a player to sit on the line, I don't know whether or not that kind of side to his game is necessarily going to suit the high line kind of the high press thing, but he is a very interesting player. Do any of you guys know much about him?
No.
I watch a little bit of Villarreal just because I like to try and diversify what I watch. And there's their right winger I really admire, Samuel Chukwueze. I like him a lot. But this guy, I've actually seen him play twice, I think, and he did score in both of those matches, but they weren't like outstanding. He's got the pace. He's young, over 6 foot tall. I like his frame. He's got a lot of attributes, but I thought Chelsea were signing him.
No, they are, but it's a £34 million fee, and it hasn't been done yet. The release clause is there. Listen, it could.
I'm all up for sniping whatever Pochettino wants. I'm all in on that. Yeah, if Pochettino wants him, then let's go grab him.
I'd be amazed if Tottenham buy a striker unless Harry Kane leaves. I'll put it like that, right?
Yeah, we have Richarlison who's kind of waiting to play that, right?
You know what? Let's talk about Richarlison. You know, everyone on this chat knows how I feel about him, but I don't know if I know how you guys feel about him. I think we can all agree he had a terrible first season.
Yeah.
Injury played a part. Positional being played in various positions played a part. I don't particularly like his attitude. How the ability, well, not his attitude, his willingness to talk to the press about what's going on in the dressing room or whatever. I'm not a massive fan of, and I don't think he's a great player. But I do see a place for him in a Postecoglou system. Mia, I'll come to you first. Do you think next season we're going to see something closer to a £60 million man in Richarlison, or is it going to be another kind of just disappointment?
I think that he'll work well. I think that the way that Postecoglou plays is very different, so I think that he can work in that system absolutely. And I think that he had how many goals were given offside, and I do think that a couple of them wasn't offside, by the way. And I think he's a confidence player, so I would like to see him get a bit of confidence. He didn't put that price on his back. Don't forget, that wasn't down to him. That was down to the club. And I feel like a lot of people put a lot onto that when really it's not Richie's fault. It wasn't down to him who did that. So I do feel like he's been a bit harshly treated, if I'm completely honest. I do have to say that. And I wouldn't mind. I would like to see him in a Postecoglou system because I think it will be interesting to see what he does with him, because I do think it could work because he likes the pressing. He likes the, he's got energy. And just on a side note about his attitude, Sean, do you know what? This guy has been touted out. You see that he's got a bad attitude. He's like this. But you know what? He gives a lot of money and a lot back to charities to help people. He's a really kind guy. And what he said in the press, some of it got debunked as he come out and said it was rubbish, that they just made up lies and misquoted. And they do that, the press. So I'll be careful about what he's quoted as saying, because I do feel like that some of it is a bit misquoted and maybe mistranslated as well, because actually deep down he's actually everyone says what a lovely guy he is, that he's a very lovely guy. Yeah.
For me, Richarlison, I think anytime you grab a player from a club and all their fans are upset and like we lost such a good guy, regardless of what he puts out on the field, I think that that's a good sign. But I worry about Richarlison just from what I've seen of him in a Tottenham shirt. But to be fair, caveat that with Sonny didn't look that great in a Tottenham shirt this season. Kulusevski didn't look that great. I would say only Kane looked good in a Tottenham shirt this season. So when we look at it, I don't want to judge him too harshly because I don't feel like the book of his Spurs tenure has been written yet. But from what I've seen, not a great first touch. Passing is 50-50. It's kind of like there are some things that I didn't like to see. But, if he's playing to his strengths like he plays for Brazil, I think he plays a lot better for Brazil than I ever seen him play for us. So clearly he has talent. If one of the best, most highly regarded football countries in the world starts him and he wears their number 9 and, he is this presence, I think he does have talent in his boots. It's just a matter of, I don't think we're using him right. And if we don't use him right, then I don't want him here because he was expensive. And I still hinge on the theory that Daniel Levy bought Richarlison to tap into the Brazilian market because the World Cup was coming up. I am 100% convinced of that, and I still have yet to be disproved. So
can I just clarify? I'm not saying that he should play because he's nice. That was just a side note about his attitude in general. That's not what I was saying. I was saying actually I'd like him to play because I think he would actually fit into possibly
the high pressing,
and the high pressing, and that it wasn't because he's nice, because people misconstruing and not obviously listening to the two things they've got inside their head, which is their ears, which I actually said he's a nice guy on a side note to what Sean was saying about his attitude.
Can Bugsy play number 9? I like that comment.
Bugsy's pretty quick.
Bugsy Malone. You know what? I've actually got a football in the garden, and Bugsy is like torn it up, so all the panels are all like shredded. But she's done more than Richarlison. She can actually play football. She'd be a decent keeper, really decent keeper.
But with Richarlison, it's very
Ben,
difficult. If we got a good offer for him, I would listen to it. I think we can do better. But I do like the guy. But it's just 12, like his biggest season, I think you said, Sean, was like 12 goals was his highest in a Premier League season as a striker, like as the number 1 striker of a club. I know something it's like Everton, and Everton aren't great, but it's still a bit, as a striker, it's not good enough really, is it? For £50 million. I would keep my powder dry on him and have him one more season. And if he turns up next season, I would keep him, but something's not right about Richarlison.
Oh God, that looked weird. Sorry, that just.
Go on, Ben. Finish your point. I'm just getting up to the next.
Something's not right about Richarlison. I do like him, but I think we can do better. I think we can do much better than him for that price.
I appreciate that, guys. I personally, I do think he'll do better next season, as long as he's willing to work, which I know he is. He's a workhorse, so I think him in the press should be a good, very interesting. An interesting way of playing. What that means for Harry Kane, does he sit into one of the 8 or whatever makeshift 10? Don't know. Let's get through the last couple of stories. This one's an interesting one from where's it coming from? From Ben Jacobs, who I think works for Sky. It is understood that Southampton,
very good as well. Ben Jacobs, he's very good.
Understood that Southampton midfielder James Ward-Prowse has been discussed internally at Tottenham Hotspur, with the 28-year-old looking certain to be leaving the club this summer after being relegated from the Premier League. Don't know. It doesn't mention how much he's going to cost. James Ward-Prowse splits opinion all the time. I think he scored 3 free kicks. Everyone thinks he's just a free kick merchant. He scored 3 free kicks in the Premier League last year, but I think he also got 9 or 10 goals, maybe even 11 goals.
Penalties, 8
from open play.
He does take penalties.
Yeah, I don't think he got scored any pens though.
Against us, he did.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Or maybe I'm thinking of the year prior. I could be. I'll look it up and verify.
This guy can play in the 6. He can play in the 8. He can play in the 10. He's English. He's homegrown. Counts for the homegrown thing. Good player. Some people don't like him. I'm looking through the chat. Let me know. Scott M is a giant bag of vomit. Walker Boberg he's expensive. Sorry, not Scott M isn't a bag of vomit. He's vomiting.
He's vomiting in bags. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, mate. JWP is expensive. Do you think he is the best option, Sean? I don't think he's the best option.
£40 million for James Ward-Prowse is unacceptable. That's
James Peter Simmons.
Money.
No thanks.
If he was 20, I would get him.
He scored the penalty against us when we tied 3-3 in the 93rd minute.
Oh yeah. Pepe Sarr. And that was the catalyst for so much of our downfall.
Yeah.
If that didn't
Ward-Prowse, it's all your fault.
It is. It's James Ward-Prowse. It was Pepe Sarr's fault. Whatever. The referee's fault. If that doesn't happen, Conte doesn't say what he says. Conte maybe doesn't leave. Maybe
Conte might have got top 4.
Oh, good point, Sean. Good point.
We don't know what. It's a whole different reality, a whole different timeline.
There's an alternate universe where that's happening, right? Yeah. Parallel to us, and
where Tottenham are in the Champions League.
Conte's still our manager,
and we're still talking about Bastoni.
I'd love to go into that multiverse. It sounds good,
It does sound fun, doesn't it? I
want to pull up. I don't charge £5 for a cup of coffee, so come to the coffee company.
So head on over to the coffee company.
And good.
Wait, what are you talking about?
£8.55, £5 for a cup of coffee is as well. I don't charge £5.
He's also got delicious coffee you can get delivered to you as well if you want.
The most expensive coffee at the coffee company is £3.50, and you can get it with really high quality coffee Go to the coffee company. 8 the Broadway, Woodford Green for all your coffee needs.
Definitely.
Unless you're American, he won't send it to you.
It cost me 30 quid to send it to you, Yakov.
Supply and demand, baby.
HJD, I think HJD is the only person in the chat that is saying, I like Ward-Prowse. Please don't act like he isn't good enough for Spurs. Everybody, am I seeing anybody? Oh, here we go. I'm glad JWP and Sarr got Conte sacked. Yeah. Ward-Prowse relegated, but English suddenly the saviour. Most people are anti this guy. Mia, you want to come in?
Yeah, I think that he just doesn't offer enough for me, and I can see why people wouldn't want him. For me, it's a no, and I just don't think he offers enough, and it's too much money. So I would absolutely say it's a no from me. To be honest with you,
£40 million is too much money. For 10 million more, you can get Maddison, who is a far better player than.
Yeah, no, it's too much money. I'm not really keen on him at all. I think he is a bit overrated. I'm not going to lie.
It's £40 million is too much money.
Yeah.
No, that's just
Phil. There's no way in a million years, mate. There's no chance, Phil. Am I going to know how to go and figure out? And unless one of you guys knows where that stat would be over the last 2 seasons, who scored headers for Tottenham except Harry Kane? I don't know. Richarlison scored 2 in the Champions League.
Yeah.
I can't think of too many others. Oh, wait a minute. No, the defenders did. Clement Longley scored against Bournemouth. Ben Davies scored 2 headers this season. I can't remember last season. My short-term memory.
Last season, Davinson Sanchez had a game-winning header against Watford at home.
Watford in January. I do remember that.
If Davinson Sanchez didn't hit that header, we don't make top 4 last season. Just want you to know.
It's true. The timelines, the alternate universe.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's crazy.
Alternate universes.
That's hilarious. Yeah, Longley did.
Well, to be honest, I've just watched Ant-Man Quantum Realm, so it could be that could be real life. You never know.
You never know. Davinson Sanchez. I feel bad that he got booed. Poor guy. His family was there, man. I wouldn't want my wife to see me. If I'm bad at my job and everyone who supplies my job is like, boo, you suck. I'd be like, honey, stay home today. They're really laying into me thick this week, so. Poor guy.
Oh, well, hang on. Yeah, okay. Phil's saying the point is if you have James Ward-Prowse on free kicks, we don't have anyone to head the ball. Well, I think it's just his direct free kicks on goal. But like I say, the point I was making is that he only scored 3. I know that most of his free kicks go very close. But if your free kicks are it doesn't matter if they can miss by an inch, they can miss by a mile. But hang on a second. We're talking about how many heading goals we scored. Perisic has got 9 assists this season or last season just finished, and every one of those was basically from a header.
Corner, right?
Hang on a second. Let's have a look. Can we go to PremierLeague.com?
What does everyone think of Perisic? Because if we play him the way, because he's been great for Croatia recently, playing as left winger. Do you keep Perisic as a left winger and just say you're backup? He was our highest assister.
I was of the mindset. This is how I felt about it personally when I looked at the end of the season and when I was looking at the roster of who I wouldn't mind if he was there for 10, 15 minutes at the end of the match to run around at the left wing. I don't mind it. Just because he's here, let him see out his contract. But if someone puts a bid in, then come get him.
If someone puts a bid in,
Saudi Arabia come calling, I'm picking up that phone.
I take it.
Hold up a minute. Let me stop sharing that.
We got breaking news or what?
No. I just want to get up to Phil's point about the headers.
Hey, big up, DJ.
Tottenham Hotspur scored the most amount of goals from heading last season. And the season just finished. 15 goals. And the season before...
Season before, we were bottom, right?
Oh. Season before we were 11th, so we've scored 23 goals from headers.
23. Wow.
Let's see who scored.
That's just Premier League, right? That's not all competition.
Gianni Vio, though, isn't it? And his corner taking. Is Gianni Vio even going to be here next year? I'd keep Gianni Vio. He actually did his job.
He's still here, isn't he? I think he's still here.
Say, we kept some of them, didn't we?
Does Postecoglou want him as part of his setup, though?
Well, he didn't want. If he wanted Mason or not, he's getting Mason, so it doesn't really matter what he wants. He's getting what he's going to get. Apparently,
he did want Mason. He said he spoke to Mason and he was happy.
Conte said he wanted Mason too. I highly doubt all these managers are like, I want Mason. I bet it's part of their contract. They have to groom him or something. I don't know.
Look at this from Wolves, though. What an interesting take. Neves chose Saudi Pro League. They overpaid him. The owners are exactly the same, Al Hilal, same as Newcastle.
Yeah.
Is there any chance they could be paying Neves his salary and then loaning him to Newcastle?
I doubt it. Newcastle don't need to do that. They don't need to cheat finance.
What an interesting take, though. Is that wouldn't be against the rules? The rules are there to be broken.
I doubt it. I mean, this is me that I don't necessarily like tinfoil hats. I don't.
Why do you like me? I'm always wearing a tinfoil hat, Ben.
Yeah, it says a lot, really.
It's because you're very handsome.
Oh, thank you. You make me
But
blush.
I don't think Newcastle are doing that.
Mia, show some love.
Right, guys. Listen, we're going to wrap it up. Before we do, I've got one last favour for everyone who's watching. There's still 430 odd people here, which is insane. I don't know if whoever's watching, if you guys are One Hotspur Plus members or One Hotspur members, and you got an email about the fan, the board, the fan advisory board, or whatever it was called. Mm-hmm. A good friend of mine, Craig Pankhurst, who's on Twitter. I'll get his thing up. 1 second. This lovely gentleman here, massive Tottenham fan, goes home and away. Really, really good guy. Unfortunately, him and his dad got beaten up by Sheffield United fans at the FA Cup game. Anyway, I won't get off the topic. He's made it through to the shortlist of the fan advisory board. He was 1 in 5. If anyone who's watching is a One Hotspur member and got the email where you can vote for someone, listen, you can pick who you want. Obviously, I'm not telling you who to vote for, but this guy would absolutely love the gig, and I think he'd be an absolutely smashing representative for the Tottenham Hotspur family, talking to Daniel Levy and the board or whatever else. So if you are a One Hotspur member and you have got the email and you want to throw your vote in one direction, my recommendation would be Craig. I think he's an awesome guy.
Or if you're like me and you're a chairperson of a supporters club, then you also get a vote for this as well.
Are you in the final 5? Are you in the shortlist, Jacob?
No, I get to vote. I got the email.
Jacob.
I'm not a One Hotspur member, but I'm.
Oh no, yeah. So he's in the shortlist for the One Hotspur. So I think there's
One Hotspur
and 5 or 6 fans that are shortlisted for each division. So there's 5 or 6 fans that are shortlisted for the season ticket, and season ticket holders can vote for that. There's 5 or 6 people that are shortlisted for the support for the overseas fan, the thing that you are. Right,
the OSC,
and then you'll get to vote. So you wouldn't get to vote for Craig Pankhurst because he wouldn't be in your list unless you're a One.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I voted Paddy Hartnett, the Irish lad.
Yeah, okay. So Paddy Hartnett's in that shortlist. Craig's in the One Hotspur one. Vote for Paddy, great guy. Love Paddy Hartnett. Love Craig. I don't know the rest of them. I'm sure they're all wonderful people, but just putting it out there, thought I'd throw my support behind him, and I will. Leave it there. Right, guys, there's 420 people. Smash the like button. But look, before I round off, let me give the chance to these wonderful people to plug their channels. I'm going to put it in the links one more time. Start with you, Mia. What's crack-a-lacking on Spurs Between the Lines? What's happening over there? How many subscribers do you have?
I have 548 currently.
Has that gone up at all over the show?
Yeah, it's gone up a few, yeah.
Come on, guys. All you got to
big
do
up to those few.
Link. All you got to do is click this link.
Big up to everyone.
Smash. It's 400 people watching. Just hit the link, hit the subscribe button, and you're done. It doesn't even take you away from the stream. Whilst you're doing that, do me a favor for Jacob as well. Jacob, what's happening on your... Oh, actually, me, I didn't even tell you. Well, it didn't even give you a chance to answer.
Yeah.
What's happening on Spurs Between the Lines?
I'm live tomorrow, 8:45 a.m. I know it's early, but you can catch it obviously on the rerun if you really wanna. So you can watch it if you're not up that early, or if it's different time zones. So I'm like you, Jacob. I do my lives regularly as well, and I also do other things in between. I have got my video that I just done with Flav. I also have Sean on. I'm definitely going to have to get Jacob and Ben on at some point as well. I keep saying that, but there's always time, isn't there? There's always time constraints. So, yeah, I do lots of different things. I have lots of different collaborations with people as well. Have good conversations. That's what I like. and fair
Amazing.
conversations as well. I like to be quite a person that tries to look, at things quite a fair manner, and not. I've got no agendas. Basically, I don't have any agendas.
Come on, Mia. I'll make you a tinfoil hat, and you can subscribe to all the conspiracies that I can draw
They
up.
don't. Tinfoil hats don't suit me. They don't look good on me. They might look good on your head, but not mine.
Great for reception.
What's happening on Jacob on United Spurs of America, mate? I'll put your link in there as well. Same deal, guys. Takes 10 seconds to
Big
do
ups.
it. Show the love for the channels that come on and spend
Come
the evenings
on.
with us. They're wonderful people and always got great insights. Just hit their subscribe for them. Let them get to 1,000, and then we'll get them going as well. Jacob, what's happening on your channel, mate?
Tuesdays seems to be the day that I do a weekly show nowadays. So 10:30 a.m. for me, and that will be 5:30 p.m. typically for the UK lads. And then I got a little pop-up show that pops up every now and then. I did a show a couple days ago I'll do a show if there's some kind of news, probably the day after something breaking, just because anytime there's breaking news, there's about 12 to 55 channels that go live. So in an effort to not continue this saturation, I try to go at different times, but I always have a good time there. It's always good vibes. I do debate people. I do wear my tin hat from time to time. I do like to share my opinions and my thoughts. And I'm pretty welcoming of everyone else's opinions. Even if I disagree with it vehemently, I will still read your chat and listen to you, because it's all about, that's what it's all about to me, in my opinion. Not necessarily being right, but hearing everyone's opinions, because then I can have the most balanced opinion. Unless it comes down to something like Romero, then I will be biased, or Sonny, I'll be biased again. But there's only a few things I'm biased of. I'm pretty balanced on other things, but when it comes to certain things, I will get quite fiery. Like Hugo Lloris quitting on us at halftime. That is a tinfoil hat conspiracy, I know. But no one can tell me he didn't fake an injury. That's just how I feel. But big ups. United Spurs America, there it is. And there's a link. Go click it. Subscribe.
Amazing. Thanks so much, mate.
Hey, big up. 5 people just subbed. Big up. Nice.
Big up, guys. It's more than 5 of you could do that. There's still 350 watching as we're winding the show down. Benny boy, get your plug in, mate. What's going on? You've already plugged your coffee. Now plug your channel.
Yeah, so come over to the coffee company. It's the chillest part of YouTube, according to many, many people in the Spurs fan base. Yeah, so come over, be nice. It's there. We just hit 300 subs, which everyone keeps on telling me I deserve more, but I don't believe them.
You do deserve more.
You do deserve more,
Go
Ben.
over to the coffee company. We have a wonderful chat about things. Come by for a coffee. It's just a nice place to be. We play nice music, and we're just nice to each other.
And we're talking about biscuits that are biscuits and not chocolate bars.
Biscuits, yes. Because we don't argue about biscuits on my channel.
Also McDonald's, and also tips from McDonald's as well.
We argue about everything.
They argue about everything, and if you come in with some football opinions, depending on the day, you may get yelled at.
We're talking about the Holy Grail, not about something else. But yeah, join us.
The chillest corner of YouTube.
Thank you so much, everyone. Connor's saying we need to do Twitter Spaces. I don't even know how to set that up. I'd love to do Twitter Spaces.
Also, Tottenham on tour. Forgot about that. Tottenham on tour.
I'd love to do
Tottenham on tour.
What?
You can join us on Tottenham on tour once in a while as well. Big up.
You guys don't do any content over there anymore, do you? You guys
We
done
do
anything in like 6 years?
sometimes. We've been having some issues over the last
Gotta get going again. I
weeks.
miss your channel. I miss that content over there. It's always a great channel.
Me and Daigle will be recording a video tomorrow, and we'll be back regularly, mostly with the new season. We need to do some more things, but we're here on Tottenham on tour sometimes.
We need to have this discussion, Jazz. No, Jaffa cakes are not biscuits. It's in the name. They're
It
cakes.
literally says it in the name, yeah.
All right,
Because
we're not
they
getting
go
into that now.
stale.
Not doing that cakes thing. Right, guys. Thank you, everyone in the comments. You guys in the comments have been absolutely superb tonight. You've been dialed in and locked in the entire way. I want to say massive thank you to Side Dancer becoming a new member, to Martin Knightsbridge for becoming a new member, to John for becoming a new member, to Hennessy for becoming a new member, and to the super chats from Mosh Chops and from Tiff Andy Tahoe.
Big up
thank
Tiff
you
Andy.
all so much. But also
Defending
mainly to everyone for joining in. Like, subscribe, and comment on your way out, guys. See you on the next one. And as always,
Yeah, man.